but it took me a minute to be like, really? But I liked him.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying, what's the lady in the dress, the pink dress, the muscle lady? I saw people saying that they should have casted Terry Crews for that, and I was like, that would have been amazing.
That would have been great. And he would have done it.
Yeah.
Have you seen people saying they want Adam Sandler to be Kizaru?
Yeah,
Kizaru.
But I don't think we're getting that far. I don't know. Maybe.
If I don't see
people were saying they
Gear
want
5 in this show,
they want Eminem to be an L.
that would be so weirdly good.
I was gonna say it fits, but like I don't think he would do it.
So weirdly good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think that's like all the. Hey everyone, welcome to the newest episode of Mega Media Nerds. I'm Chris, this is Alex, you know Ryan, and we got a new face in the crowd today. This is Derek, mutual friend of all of ours. We are doing a little something different today, obviously, new setup, new little background, well, lack of background. It's just we're in my living room, so welcome to my living room, dining room.
It's a really fancy way to say we're in the living room.
We're just in a different room in the house.
I mean, it's beautiful. It's candlelit.
Thank you. Yes, it is.
Skylight.
Courtesy my wife. We got the fan going, so a little shadow passing over our face, a little ambiance. The candles flickering.
It really sets the mood,
right? and I'm telling you, for what we're talking about today, it's fitting.
How so?
I don't know. I just was like,
I'm in the stone to say it.
I don't see that. But...
There's fire in both shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of both shows,
and
what shows
and
are
trees.
we talking about?
So yes, today we are going to kind of talk through, review, just kind of give our thoughts on Night of the Seven Kingdoms and the new season of the live-action One Piece on Netflix. But before we jump into that, just to kind of get us warmed up and going, get the old pipes lubed up.
I'm for it. I'm just like preparing myself mentally.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys, because Derek and I had a brief conversation about it. Alex and I had an even briefer one, and we haven't talked about it. What did everyone think of the new Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer that just released that broke a world record, getting 720 million views in a 24-hour period?
I'm real excited.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I think they showed a lot of cool stuff. Like, there's a lot of moving parts with this one. I think people have been anticipating this one. I didn't realize I was supposed to be anticipating it as much as I should have been. Like, I knew it was going to be like another Spider-Man movie, and they've all been good. So I was like, okay, yeah, cool, it'll be fun. And then I saw all the stuff they were doing, and I was like, oh, this is like a lot's going on.
That's exactly, I think, very close to, like, almost verbatim to what I said to Chris. It's like, it seems cool, and like there are things going on here that I like, but there's just a lot packed into those movies, and I think some of the not bad, but I think the ones that failed a little harder in the earlier franchises they tried to like put too much fan service here, 3 different subplots,
R.I.P.
2 emotional
Spider-Man
cores.
3.
Yeah, you know, but you know that little some of the humor seems like it'd be cool. It's very Marvel-y still, which is not good, not bad for me anymore. But at the same time,
So like middling, like not looking forward to it.
I said before, anything that comes out anymore, I'm like cautiously optimistic because like
That's fair.
it could be amazing. They could really do great work.
Spider-Man,
Wow.
amazing.
Or
It could just be spectacular.
Just?
It's just another.
Or it
Spider-Man.
could be a very Garfield-y.
It would,
thought you were
what if
insulting
it were incredible?
Then it would be a different character.
Yeah, the Hulk movie. Yeah. Speaking of Incredibles, no, I'm just kidding. We're not going to delve into all that. Although I really want to talk about that with y'all, but we'll do that on another episode. Alex, what were your thoughts on the trailer?
Man,
That's all. All right.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, Spider-Man.
He's not wrong.
That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm real excited. I think people overhated the Home trilogy. I think this is like a step in the right direction for the general populace. And I mean, Spider-Man is kind of notoriously known for being down on his luck, and this is him down on his luck.
The other movies he kind of was.
Kinda,
there
but
was some
like
stuff that definitely went wrong for him.
Right.
But
he had a lot going for him.
he had a lot of good in his life with his
Yeah, he had more of a
girlfriend,
support
his
system.
family until
Right.
the last one, and
They were high school. I mean, he was in high
Yeah.
school. It was a different level, I guess, of what.
Yeah.
yeah, this feels like where Tobey Maguire started.
Yes, I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
So
Finally getting the real
sorry.
Spider-Man.
Huh? Go ahead.
Finally getting the MCU's first real Spider-Man.
I don't
That's
know if
harsh.
I agree with that,
Well,
but
I mean,
That's harsh.
if Spider-Man is notoriously known for being down on his luck, and this is the first time we're really seeing something like that,
I mean, not always, but I think it is core to his character that he's feels more human than some of the other.
Yeah.
I will say, to be
Superheroes.
fair to Marvel's Spider-Man, they didn't have the rights to Spider-Man when they started doing Spider-Man, so they could only do Avengers Spider-Man. So that kind of changed the way that they had to introduce him, right?
Well, they still don't. I mean, this is a Sony film.
Okay.
It's just. I mean, it's tied in.
oh
Obviously.
yeah, I forgot that that's how that worked. It's like
But they're still
partnership.
sharing
Yeah.
the right. I mean, that's kind of been one of the running gags on Twitter all week. Has been them putting up the news, the post of it breaking the world record for views. And people just be like, Sony ain't never giving these rights up.
Yeah, I mean, why would they?
Marvel's never getting them back, and they're
Why
not.
would they?
They're not. We talked about it the other day at lunch, and you had mentioned that your kind of hang up on it was just past versions, past iterations of the character seem to have kind of hit their wall momentum wise whenever they tried to cram too much in. And I agreed with you. And then I started thinking more about it and hearing, I read the synopsis not long after we
And they're
talked.
like, nah, man, that guy's wrong.
And I was like, gosh, I can't believe he was so
I
wrong. I
listened
look
to
up
him.
to this guy. No, not that. It gave me a thought that I was like, it gave me something to be a little more lenient towards hopeful, that I'm hoping to maybe be able to sell to you, that I wasn't thinking about that day. This movie there's a 4-year time skip from where we last left him in No Way Home to where we're picking up with him. So I'm thinking that we're gonna see a little bit of picking up where we left off, and then kind of a
Montage?
a montage of a bunch of stuff.
Well, that was kind of you mentioned something like it when we were talking the other day, and I think that would be something. That's how they could do that stuff in a nice way, where the scene with the Scorpion and the scene with the Punisher that they show in the trailer.
Don't forget the tarantula.
Yeah, but those little things there that could just be a day in the life, right?
Right.
You're just Frank's being annoying today, and that's all it has to be. But
Yeah.
if they're trying to tie it all into one big narrative thing where all these pieces are moving, I don't want a whole Avengers movie in my Spider-Man movie. I want a Spider-Man movie. So,
That's fair.
but it was a very fair point. That's what I'm hoping they're going to do with it.
Yeah. I'm just a little surprised to hear a lot of the fans that have been reading the comics their whole lives, that I'm not close to being on their level of knowledge, are saying that the storyline they're pulling from is apparently one where he's gonna mutate
Oh, yeah.
into Man Spider.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine they're going that
That's
route.
what I was going to say. That's part of the reason why I'm so hyped for this one, is because we're getting a lot. It looks like we're going to get a lot of stuff that we've never seen done before. It's I didn't even know who Tarantula was till I watched somebody talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool that they're adding in not main villains or what.
Right.
Technically, I guess they're still main villains, but they're not blockbuster
Right,
name
right.
villains.
Yeah, the main point. Really, we just seen the story start over and over and over again,
Yeah.
and a lot of the meat and more interesting stuff happened way later.
That's why
true.
I can't get into Fantastic Four because I'm like, how many times are we gonna reboot these guys?
Well, when it never works and then they try and make it work, they kind of have to.
Fair.
I haven't watched it yet, but I will say to kind of put a bow on this, new Rockstars did like a almost 50-minute video breakdown of this 2-minute trailer. So there's a lot in there.
I didn't want to watch that because I was like, I don't want to spoil.
Yeah.
Like I watched a little, like a 6-minute one or whatever, and I was like, that was already too much.
Yeah.
I don't need to know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Everything else. Like I didn't know Sadie Sink's character, who she's supposed to be playing.
Can you tell Derek? Derek loves spoilers.
Oh yeah. It's like my favorite thing. Although I mean, like honestly,
Oh, sorry guys if y'all can hear my son.
They can.
the like growing up, it wasn't actually the comics that I got a lot of like Spider-Man lore from. It was the animated series, which actually did, I think, a fairly good job of capturing all the stories and stuff, especially the serialized stuff, which wasn't as done then.
Yeah.
So just seeing, like, I recognize that story from my memories of the animated series.
Yeah.
So I am excited about that being part of it. If that's where they go. It could be any old thing.
Yeah. So we're gonna see. We might could do a little more talking on that, as time goes on. That movie is. Let's see. We're in March, so May, June, or April, May, June, July. It's 4 months away. So it feels like forever. It'll probably zoom right by. Yeah. Every time we talk about it, it'll be like it's in an eternity, and then every time we look back, I'm like, I can't believe we're already in June. But yeah, so we'll talk more about that, I'm sure, as time goes on. But I was really excited about that. It was a big day for me. I sent that trailer out to like 50 people all at once. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. But let's jump in. Let's talk first a little bit about Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We actually, funny enough, kind of all watched most of that show together. We had a plan to get dinner and watch like an episode or two.
Yeah.
I ended up watching like 4 or 5 of them.
There was 6 total, right?
Yeah.
Then we watched
The
5.
sixth one wasn't out, though.
Yeah, the only reason we didn't watch the whole season all at once together was because the 6th one wasn't out. But I don't think that was like the intention. But it was. I mean, for me, it was so good. It was like, let's just keep rolling.
Yeah, nobody was ready to leave.
Yeah.
That's also like when I was talking to Amanda yesterday. I was like, yeah, just remember, hey, I'm going over to Chris's for the podcast tomorrow. She's like, okay, well, I'll see you at 1 a.m. And I was like, I don't know, they got plans in the evening. She's like, okay, I'll see you at 1.
Yeah, no, Laura will do that sometimes too. She's like, don't stay over there too late. And I'm like, I won't.
I
won't.
The plan is from this time to this time. There's no way that I'll get stuck talking to people, enjoying myself, and watching the entire series. No way.
I get home at 2 and she's like,
Yeah.
She you walk in and it's completely dark and a lamp clicks on and she's just sitting in the armchair. Oh my gosh. No, yeah, that night. I mean, we were having a good time.
It was a blast.
What can we say? So I kind of think my first question is it's related, but it's not directly about the show, but I kind of want to hear y'all's thoughts on it. So we all watched Game of Thrones, correct?
yeah,
Technically, no.
Well,
Yeah.
you watched
enough of it.
enough of it.
Yeah.
I know you didn't finish it. I didn't finish it.
Who would want to?
Well,
I
Yeah.
did, but
I saw its heyday.
I
And-
stopped around season 5.
I think that's around where I stopped.
Good.
I watched the good stuff like 4 or 5 times, and then I watched the end, and I regretted it because I got Chris into it, I got Laura into it,
Yeah.
I got a couple other of my friends into it, and I was like, I'll rewatch it with you. Like, I don't care. Like, it's so good. And then
I think you're who got Raymond into it.
possibly, I don't remember. I was telling everybody. I was like,
Yeah.
this is the greatest thing ever. And that was at like season 3 or 4. I was like, you got to watch it.
So that's kind of where this question was leading is like, can we describe our relationship with Game of Thrones first? And kind of, I just want a good idea of like our entry point going into this because first of all, I think Derek's is going to be a lot different than ours because, correct me if I'm wrong, my assumption was you probably were onto the books before the show was a thing.
Yeah. So one of my close friends was actually the guy who got me reading fantasy books in the first place, right? Wheel of Time and all that stuff. I mean, he had been reading them since the 90s when they were coming out, and was like, these are the best fantasy books in the world. Like, you're gonna love this. And I drug on that one just because that was like, I feel like I'm gonna sound like old every other sentence or something, but that was Grimdark wasn't as much of a thing,
Right.
So I didn't know if I wanted to go that far. Reading the first one was the show had been announced at that point, and so I was like, well, I'm obligated now because he's gonna double make fun of me if I don't. But just the characterization grabbed me. The journey of the characters, especially from book to book. Jamie, really, George Martin did something really special with that. It wasn't just the darker elements of the fantasy, which was less in vogue at the time. It was also the complexity of the narrative and all that. So by the time the show came, I kind of knew what was coming. And in those days, I was more optimistic about adaptations. I thought, man, there's no way they could mess this one up. It's HBO, but
and it's written so well right there for them. There's no way they won't get it right.
But I mean, legitimately, I think the first season, Zimbak stands, right. It changed how prestige television was done, and the viability of adapting things like fantasy and everything after that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to understate how much impact it had and how cool it was. By that standard, my entry's fairly mundane. That friend thought it was a pretty cool thing. I think the show held up pretty well until it didn't.
Well, I mean, I was going to
until
say
they ran out of books to adapt.
Yeah,
to
manga at least prepared me for that.
yeah.
to your point about being a little more, call it naive or just optimistic or whatever at the time about adaptations in general, your other thought was probably, the new book will be out before.
Yeah.
Back then, people probably.
Yeah, reading fantasy, they were taking a long time to come out anyway, but it was also George Martin was also very prolific. He did all kinds of different genres, have been writing since, forever, early 80s.
Yeah.
And
if not 70s.
If probably sooner, yeah. But the expectation was always that, traditional publishing was still, the writers would write until they died. And then during that time, you had Robert Jordan passing, and they still continued the series.
Yeah.
So it was well, it's bulletproof. They could never not get finished.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah. And I've heard people ask him at this point, would he tap someone like Jordan did to finish the series? And he's said no.
This is going to be his detox.
Yeah.
Well, one wonders. I mean, there's plenty of authors that have stuff released after and with more or less changed things. But I don't know. At this point, I'm not even sure that. I mean, it's a really great book series. I think the show held up very well while they still have material. Even just seeing
me personally, I think you could tell when they ran out of material. But I didn't think they did really bad until that last season when they were just we got to finish this right now.
We got to wrap this up.
And it was nobody wanted you to do that.
Yeah, and it could have all the identical beats of the big arc of the story and where the characters majority ended up. You could see that all being credible, but how they got there. I mean, it was always going to kind of pale just in an adaptation, I think. But they just like you said, the rush, it felt unearned and terrible. And
within a span of an episode, a character going through a whole character arc is wild.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, within a season, by Game of Thrones standards, a season.
Well, yeah, but I could at least give them credit if it was okay, we need to wrap this up. So you get a whole season. It feels rushed, I'm sure, but an episode is insane.
Yeah. Real quick, Alex, I want to touch on you getting into Game of Thrones. I'm going to ask you all one more question, just in general, about a theory that I found out, and I just want to know what y'all think about it. and then we'll dive into actually talking about Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So, what do you remember about getting into the show, the original show?
I mean, you were the one who put me onto it.
That's all I needed to know. Moving on.
All right.
Somebody clip that.
I mean, you were like really, really, really adamant about it, and I was like, all right, man, whatever.
Shut up.
Basically. So then we started watching it together, and I like it, so I keep watching it, and then that's about it. I mean,
And then I stopped.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I am very curious, like where it fell among all the other like shows and things you were watching at the time. Like, did it stand out because of one thing or another, or was it just like, this is a cool show? Did it feel like something different?
I mean, I would consider myself fairly uncultured. Like, I don't have a whole lot of experience watching a lot of things.
Well, that was kind of why I was asking.
I think Alex
'Cause,
just liked when they swung the swords and
Yeah.
they hit each other.
Yeah.
And then there was a booby.
Every now and then.
A couple of wieners.
Yeah, just for spice.
He liked Oberyn a lot.
Yeah, I think everybody did. I mean, he was awesome.
But I'm saying, like, he
And then
he really loved that character.
And then he died in a cool way.
No.
Ryan likes the deaths.
I was
Like,
just
that's
saying,
Ryan's favorite part.
I
That's
love the
stupid.
like metal deaths. That's like when the old dude gets stabbed by all the children.
Pycelle.
That was amazing. I love that.
I don't know. Who
See,
that
a lot of
is.
people. See, to me, around right there, that season is where a lot of people started checking out. But I still
So-
thought they did some cool things with.
That and that's what I was saying is like you could tell that they were drawing from the source material. So like there was some missteps, but overall like they hadn't ruined the story yet. They didn't
That's fair.
just crap on everything that they had built before then.
So, okay, my question before we move to the actual show we're discussing: have any of y'all heard the theory that the last two books are finished, but that George Martin is just pretty much resigned to he's not gonna release them until he dies, so that he doesn't have to deal with like any possible backlash of like he doesn't want to deal, like, in his mind the mission's done, the books are finished. He doesn't want to deal with any like fan whining or complaining about how this or that could have ended better or differently or whatever because of the show ending. Like,
I think I would believe that if like people weren't constantly bothering him about the book, like at this point he's gonna get it no matter like if he finishes it or if he doesn't finish it. Like people are just gonna be the way people are. You know what I mean?
well,
So-
but that's him dealing with one question over and over versus a million questions about this character, this plot line, this story thread, this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's incredible. I mean, but it's also, you know, they could be at this point they could be the best fantasy books ever written, and expectations would still be too high.
That's probably fair.
So, you know, I would not blame an author either way. Rothfuss, I think that book was done for sure before the first book was released.
Yeah.
But in the editing and everything is where he got lost and then all that stuff. And now expectations being what they are, you know, I think he's living a much quieter life. I'm
Yeah.
not sure Martin's quite doing that, but he's also, I could see him being just cussed enough to be like, well, I mean,
Yeah.
I do what I want.
Yeah.
They gave me a money printer, so I don't know if you guys have one of those.
And
but
then he gave it to HBO.
yeah, like I could just do whatever. I'll go to a convention
Then he
and
wrote-
laugh at someone's face when they say they want my book. Oh, you want my book?
I'm a scrupulous, evil man.
Here, shut up and play this game instead.
That's also amazingly written.
Yeah. Well, because he had a hand in it.
That's what
So,
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so good deal. All right, so that's kind of all our stories. I mean, mine is not incredible. It's similar to Al. Ryan got me into Game of Thrones.
Okay, that's all I need to hear.
Moving on. I was way late getting into it. I didn't like anything fantasy back then. I had a pretty strong bias against it. I just thought it was like something I wasn't into.
You're scared of orcs?
Yeah, they really freaked me out. No, I just, the whole knights thing and dragons and all, like, it never appealed to me. and that's what I viewed that show as. And
I mean, you weren't wrong.
well, I wasn't wrong, but
There's a lot more like
the depth
to it.
the
political intrigue, the characters.
I was gonna say
I mean, it's
the
yeah,
first
it's-
episode. I remember watching the first episode in my parents' living room, and when Bran gets pushed out the window at the end, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" The episode was good up to that point. It was cool meeting these different characters, and like there was things going on already starting to unfold, but I was very lost. I mean, you don't know who anyone is, and I mean it's a huge show, huge world. So I was kind of still, on the fence, and then you get to that end part. And this like cute kid that you've seen running all over this place, and he's climbing up and down, and it's like, he's a cute
he's
kid.
not supposed to see.
And then you're like, oh, whoa,
Yeah.
and then he gets pushed out a window.
Yeah, and I think it's important, like, because like what he sees is such a huge
Yes.
deal.
Well, it's a shock to me too as the
Yeah.
viewer because
was gonna
I didn't
say,
read the
that
books.
alone was wild, and then you find out like, oh, like these are also awful people. And
Yeah.
he's just like whatever.
So
I gotta murder this kid now.
like a lot of people, I was like completely on board for the first like 5 seasons, and then kind of slowly fell off of it. And there was other things that played into it, but regardless, I never finished it. And then hearing you and other fans talk about it, I was like, I don't feel very obligated to go finish it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I know
'cause
how it
They
ends.
had so much good to work with.
But from there, we took I don't even know how many year gap between season 8
I think
and
it's like 7
House of the
something.
Dragon. But was it that many
Oh
years?
wait! You're talking about how far back is House of the Dragon?
No. I'm saying there was they did season 8,
between the shows.
and then
Oh, my
House of
bad,
the Dragon
my bad.
season 1 came out some years later.
I don't know. It was a couple years.
Laura, you
It's
think
like,
you
I
can
it
look
was
that
like
up?
3 or something.
Laura will look it up, but and then we go into that. I'm going to be honest. House of the Dragon, I really enjoy it, but I find myself not loving it as much as I did Game of Thrones because I keep looking for my Game of Thrones characters in it and they're not there. And I was really worried going into Night of the Seven Kingdoms that I was going to run into the same problem where it's like there's a lot of potential here. It's the same cool world and like the feelings there, but it's like like where's my characters I can latch onto? Did not have that problem in this show.
Yeah, I was just say I think Game of Thrones was doing a lot in a good way, and it did a lot really well. And I think that's mostly because of the books, the way they were written. There's a lot for multiple stories. There's a lot for multiple, like you can find something in it that you enjoy. There's a lot of fun and happiness and like playing around, and there's also a lot of dark and scary and twisted stuff. So like you get a little bit of everything. And I don't know, for me, House of the Dragons was very serious. There was not a lot of like whimsy kind of feel in
there's
any
not a
of
ton
it.
of humor in it.
It's very serious, very much so more politically driven. But this one, I mean, it feels like fun. It's like we're having fun, and there's some serious and there's some, gruesome fights that were amazing. But for the majority of the episodes, it was like we're just having a good time.
Right.
Yeah, I think the House of the Dragon just leaned more on the this is for the hyper fans and for the more serious minded and for the more just the grimmer crowd. So the mass appeal was just inherently less. Like that Venn diagram is smaller between the general audience and someone that I think would enjoy House of the Dragon more. Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it was a bad show. I think I enjoyed what I saw of it, but I wasn't necessarily rabid for it in the same way either. Right.
Right.
But then the whole media context was also different. It was a lot easier to find another fantasy show that appealed to me a little bit more.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's fair. Again, because Game of Thrones, like you said, kind of changed the landscape.
Really pioneered the way with that.
What you got on the time gap there, Laura?
Last season of Game of Thrones was May 2019, and the first season of House of the Dragon was August 22.
Okay, so about 3 year,
So 3 years, yeah.
3 year gap.
Nailed it.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
I didn't even hear you.
Rewind it.
Chat, clip that. Alex, you haven't watched House of the Dragon, have you?
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
So what's your opinion?
Yeah, like, what do you think?
I hate it.
Cool
It
name,
sucks.
or
It is a cool name, actually.
It's got dragons.
It's true.
for me, like I said, I wasn't like latching onto it as hard, but having that worry going into Night of the Seven Kingdoms, it was like almost immediately washed away. I mean, you know, the season opens up. We open up with like this beautiful wide shot of a field, and there's horses tethered to this giant tree, and it's raining, and it's, you know, gloomy, and then it, you know, hard cuts in, and he's burying, you know, Duncan is burying someone, and we don't know who it is at first. And just in like classic George Martin fashion, like within his first few lines of dialogue, you're like, oh, I know who that is. With like no other context, you know who the guy is, their relationship. They do that funny like multiple jump cuts when him talking about like, you never beat me unless I deserved it, and it's just like pow, 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 just like him getting slapped in the face a bunch. Like, so you learn a lot very quickly, and then we don't dwell there. Like, we immediately cut to he slept under the tree, and now it's the next day and the sun's out, and it's like you get this feeling of like, oh, it's a new beginning here. Mm-hmm. And right there, this scene of him talking to his horses because he's got no one else, and trying to figure out like, what are we gonna do? Like, what's next? Like, oh, we could go join the Night's Watch, or we could go. He had a few things he said. I don't know if y'all remember any of it, but like, he's like listing out these options, and someone pointed out that like, right as like you hear the Game of Thrones theme song coming in, and you hear it swelling, and you think we're about to cut to the title sequence, it just hard cuts to him taking like a diarrhea dump behind the tree.
Yeah.
So for me, right, like that whole thing from the beginning to like that part, I was like, oh my gosh, this show is gonna be different. Like,
Yeah.
I do think it set the tone for the show in a way that I still wasn't sure at that point where it was going to go, but that was a pleasant surprise in a completely different way. Because, you know, it's a new Game of Thrones show. You know, you kind of, you know, I think it was almost on a whim that I was watching it with you guys, just like to be hanging out, and it wasn't on my radar at all. So then seeing that much humor, really, it was like, oh, this is great. This is just, you know, this is what we need right now. And the turn, that and some other things we may or may not mention later, I think, like, solidified way over House of the Dragon. I think it's just more tonally where I'd like a show, period.
I agree.
I could see someone saying, like, it's a little unfocused at times, or I don't know. Like, a lot of those jump cuts and stuff like that, the tonal whiplash can be a little, but not for me. I was like, this is perfect. Plus diarrhea.
Plus diarrhea. That's always great. I mean, for me, like, unfocused, you know, even if it might be at points, like, I can almost forgive it because it's such a contained story.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, a show either, like, ends too soon in a way or goes way too long. And this was one of those ones that just, you wanted more of. Mm-hmm. Like, it ended too soon, but, like, it's so perfect that it did it this way. Because it really sets the stage for, like, the next, I think they're doing 3 seasons because there's 3 books.
Yeah.
But what about you? Like, when were you like, okay, I'm going to really like this?
I think I'm in the same boat. I think, like, the first scene, it was great. I think by the end of that first scene, like, you can kind of gauge the character of Dunk, and, you know, I think that's probably where Game of Thrones shines the most in reality, is like it has characters that feel real, in that they're not like benevolent saints and they're not all evil, horrible monsters. Like, there's nuance there. They can joke even if they're horrible people. Mm-hmm. They can, you know, have a night out dancing, even though, like, they're down on their luck or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point. That's
a
really good
mixed
point.
bag of everything kind of shows a a real person.
Yeah.
It's not, everything's not so black and white where it's just like that's the bad guy and he's bad. Like
Right.
the Night King is just like this empty, uncaring, just force of evil, and it's like no, these are real people. And like I think the fact that like who's the guy that fights for him?
Lionel Baratheon.
No,
The Targaryen.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
Maelor, is that
Is
is
that
or is it
Maelor?
Maelor that kills him? I forget which one's which.
Laura,
There's
would
so
you be able to
many
look up
Targaryens?
Baylor's the one that fights for him.
Baelor?
Baelor.
Okay.
And
He was so
Maelor
good.
is his brother, and that's who killed him. I thought that was like a real.
Sorry,
Kinda-
this is a little too late, but like we're gonna talk the whole season, so spoilers. I
Yeah.
mean, you
I feel like
probably
it's
know
implied,
that. Yeah,
but-
but like we're gonna talk it all. So
Yeah, so like having his brother be the one that killed him in this fight, that like that's not how it was supposed to go at all. I think that really speaks to like what Alex is saying with the, there's nuance to these characters, and he's doing the right thing, and like it wasn't supposed to go this way, but then it did go that way, and then you see Dunk like gets all pissy and is like, I'm not gonna train him. I don't want to do anything. I don't want anything to do with any knights or any princes. And then he's like, nah, yeah, actually, I need to be a good guy. I need to be the guy that teaches this dude what to do and what not to do because his family's messed up.
well, and two, to take it even a step further, when he has that first encounter with the brother that killed Baelor, I forget all their names. I'm expecting him to be like a jerk because he's kind of been a jerk the whole time we've seen him.
Yeah.
And now his brother's dead, and it was because of this dude. And when they meet up and they talk, he's telling him, it's like, yeah, he fought for you. It was my mace or whatever that killed him, and he says like, I didn't mean for that to happen, and the gods know that, but I'll hear people, basically talk junk about me the rest of my life for this one mistake. And like that was such like a raw, real moment of like you could tell he really, two brothers, they fight, but like he really was upset that his brother died and in the way that he did. And it was just a moment I didn't expect to see from this character who's been like really cold and mean the whole time.
That, and I think the fact that like all his sons kind of suck.
I don't know.
In
One
a way.
does.
Well, the other one would be great if he weren't such like a drunk, whiny coward.
That's fair. I guess.
But like he's a good character too. But it's like when you find out that he's like he really cares about Egg, and he's like he wants him to be taught right or whatever. He's in the right place, like, and it's like he's coming from the frame of mind like I want better for him, but then he also kind of messes it up because he's like, well, this is how you should train him, and he's like, no, not doing that. So it's like I said, it's nice to see like a nuanced character, not just so one dimensional.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of preserving that kind of like. I mean, you have the terrible noble that's like is hit hard by something that they did and like are brought down to earth by it, but then even Dunk himself is like he's kind of the character that you would almost expect. Like he's closer to one of those iconic goody good characters for a lot of it. But the fact he's a dingus half the time, and he's half doing things because he thinks it's expected of him, or he has to like put up this
Facade.
Facade of the noble
Well,
knight, right?
I think
But-
a lot of that comes from him not actually being knighted too. Like, I'm sure that like I think the scene where he's like a knight can make a knight me, and he just stands there staring at him. I didn't quite get that at first. Like it took a minute to sink in that it's like he's not gonna do it, not because he doesn't want him to fight for him. It's because he wasn't actually knighted, and he doesn't want to like lie. Like, he's lying about being a knight, but like he doesn't want to make this guy not a knight because he's lying.
Yeah,
I was like, that's awesome.
that's actually leading to like kind of what I was saying too, is because the Dunk has those things, and they're different for a Game of Thrones character. It's like not like there was never a good or noble Game of Thrones character or anything like that, but he is probably the most like, you know, closer to the prototype. But then you see what happens at the end, and it's like this is the cost of being that kind of person in this world, right? Like,
Ned Stark.
yeah, you know, like
Yeah, there's no way they kill Sean Bean immediately.
except for, so you know, but he still, like, I think it makes you feel even better when, despite everything, he still chooses to do the right thing. You know, in the same way, like Jaime Lannister turning around from being this guy who, you know, didn't really care about anyone else or anything else, and a little bit of being humble turned him into one of the better characters, I think, in the show and book, right?
Yep.
That nuance is great. So they captured that really well, and I think that's what almost makes it feel the most like a Game of Thrones show. Not even necessarily like the really cool fights or whatever, just maintaining the nuance.
Yeah. So, you know, he decides that he's going to like ride whatever direction to go to this town for does he know that he's going to Attorney?
Yeah.
Okay. So he knows he's going to find that and he comes to like a little inn, and he's first greeted by the stable boy is like in rags and a little bald kid, and he's like, hey, you know, put my horses up and feed them and brush them and do all the stuff, and if you do it good, I'll give you a copper, and if not, I'll give you a clout in the ear, which is like his catchphrase for the rest of the show, giving someone a clout in the ear. And the boy is like, yeah, maybe, like if I want, like I don't know, like maybe I don't feel like it, and he's like, excuse me, make that 2 clouts. He's very taken aback. And honestly, some of this could be probably attributed to some of his naivete as well. Like, I think if he was a like a Ned Stark type, or like even like a Jaime Lannister type, you know, just like the real sharp, like they pick up on these. I'll give you a better example. Tywin Lannister
Yeah.
picks up on these little cultural like cues and you know, social norms. You know, him kind of deriving that Arya was not who she was saying she was, not completely, but like more than anyone else around them had picked up on pretty quickly when he made it to that fort they were stationed at. You know, Duncan is not that guy. You know, he thinks nothing of this
He's
little
like, how
sassy.
dare this
Yeah.
child talk back to me?
So that makes for a pretty entertaining little thing there, and then
I love when he comes back and he's on the horse in like all his armor.
his armor.
He's like, "What are you doing?"
He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It fell on me." But we have an interesting moment before that where he goes into the inn, and there's a guy with his head laying on the table, and when he walks in, he sits up and he's like, "I know who you are, and I've seen you in my dream, and you kill a dragon." And he says something else, and he says, "Stay away from me," and like stabs his knife into the table. And that really freaked me out at first, because I was like, oh, this is going to be the bad guy of the show. This dude, he's going to try and kill him or something while he's sleeping. So that brings up an interesting question for me, for you guys. It's like, how do we feel the like classic Game of Thrones magic level was implemented in this show? Because like, I have my opinion on it, but I want to hear what y'all think first.
I mean, from what I remember, Game of Thrones, well, I guess I didn't get super far enough into the end of it, but like, I've always felt like it was like kind of low magic amount. Like, it was few and far between, and what was there wasn't like, if you have magic, you're like godly. It never felt like that to me. So I don't know. What was portrayed in the couple episodes we got of Knight of Seven Kingdoms, I feel like it's kind of par for the course for my expectations.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. Like, the Game of Thrones kind of generally low magic until it's very much not. I mean, I think the first indication that something is different is, the White Walkers, but to a greater extent, like the Wall. Like at the very least, it's like an old world. The old lost magics or whatever is fairly big trope in fantasy, but most of that first book, especially first season, whatever you don't get the indication that any of that's left until, and this was kind of the same way. Like that didn't. The dreams thing was like, it could have been a one-off. You kind of figure it has a little more weight, but the fact that it was, in a very real way, prophecy, was, I think, in keeping. It was like just enough to say, hey, this is still like kind of grounded in the universe, and I don't know that much more was needed.
I'm going to let Ryan speak, but I will say what I'm about to say I think is going to hit with you the hardest, because I know you haven't. Have you read the books, Ryan?
No.
Okay.
No.
But I'm curious to know your thoughts on my opinion here in a second. But go ahead, Ryan. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm kind of kicking myself for not realizing who it was. Because like going in, I should have known that like the drunk guy was a Targaryen, because they can see like visions of the future. I should have known that. I didn't realize who Egg was. Like I knew like that was the character or whatever, but I didn't realize. I don't know how I missed the dots. But I was like, I should have totally known that dude was a Targaryen. And then they zoom in on the coin, and I was like, I definitely should have seen that. But I was like, I just thought it was just their money. And then I was like, I'm stupid, dude. I wish they would have done a little bit more magic, because I'm a big fan of the Game of Thrones magic. It's like everything has like a real cost to it, which is like, I think is such a good. I mean, Brandon Sanderson is like, that's one of the main rules of magic. It's like giving it a cost, and it's like I think they do such a good job of like, I wouldn't say low magic, but like just giving you little bits of magic to enhance the story. This is not a story about magic. It's
right.
a story.
Like it's not Harry Potter.
And there's magic in it.
Right.
And it's like, I think it's done in a really good way in the show mostly.
In the books, there's a lot more. Like it does kind of builds.
Well, I know
to
there's
more
like
and more different things, and kind of the ancient stuff coming back. And
I was just saying, I know like Catelyn
Stark.
Stark,
Yeah.
stuff like the
Lady Stoneheart.
wolves. Yeah, the wolves are a bigger part. So like, I mean, there's differences from the books and all, but like, I mean, I think he does, like George R.R. Martin just does a good job writing.
Yeah, I mean,
So.
He's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's all right.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think it's quite
no, but you're kind of leading into exactly what I wanted to talk. Like that's my thing. Like having read the book, not all of them. I think I've read the first 3.5. Like I think I stopped on 4. But having read those, and I know it's probably been a while since you've read them, but I think you'll remember and agree. Those are still low magic books, but there's a lot more in there. It's subtle, like it's done subtly, like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's done subtly, but there's so much more in there that you can look at after you've got the bigger picture and be like, oh, that's like straight up magic in a way. Like you said, the wool, like, so in the show, it like watching the show first, I thought Bran was the only Stark who could warg.
mm-hmm.
And in the books, it's pretty well established that, like, again, subtly, like I don't know that it's ever come out and said, but it's pretty hard hinted that all the Stark kids have that bond with their direwolves and can warg into them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get, I don't know how much like years old spoilers or whatever, but like the end of the last book had a lot of like conversation between me and that same friend about like Jon Snow and like the nature of his connection with stuff. And as the books go, I think like that's one of the things that the people that first read those books, and this is maybe a little afield of the conversation, but the first people that read those books were the fantasy fans. And part of the expectations that I think made those people like it so much was that you are presented with a sort of like War of the Roses with some weird stuff in the first book. And then as it goes, it really opens up into a, you know, if not traditional fantasy, but some, you know, it's got those elements that are like baked into the world and deeply, and that mystery, as I think, also helps drive along with all the political intrigue. So I didn't want to derail your point. But.
No, I mean, that basically point being like, I think the show takes the magic that the books have and like it's already written like real subtly and kind of sprinkled in, but like throughout, and they kind of even more filter it where there just seems to be a little less in the show. And I'm like you, like I was kind of wanting a little bit more of that kind of like the dream kind of stuff and things like that. And it might be hard to do that in these kind of stories. I've never read these books that deal with Dunk and Egg, so I don't know how big their adventures get, how many people they come across,
Also
things
get
like
the
that.
impressions that like the Game of Thrones books is sort of a kind of a returning to the world of a lot of that stuff. Like, you know, something
That's
about
fair.
this changing of the seasons and all the big events happening is all like everything waking up, and so it's more prevalent than it probably was, you know, in the day to day.
That's a fair point. So, but you know, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that stuff. So with that, you know, we've met Egg. We got to talk about Egg. I wish I knew the guy's name. I wish I knew both the main people's names by heart, but I don't. They're actors. Did a phenomenal job. What did we think of Aegon Targaryen, our little boy, our little egg boy?
I
hate little bald boys.
I love how sassy he is. He was just great. He was great. The chemistry that him and Dunk have, that scene where he's talking about him being small for his size or whatever, and he's like, people call me stupid. He's like, and what do you do when they call you stupid? He's like, oh, mind your business. I was like, I love it. It was their chemistry is great, and that's why I'm excited for, you know, the way it ends is like he's gonna train him or whatever, and it's like I'm excited to get more of that along their journeys.
Real quick, that is Sir Duncan is played by Peter Claffey, and Egg is Dexter Sol Ansel, just to give them credit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with. I mean, you would want their chemistry to really work because it's supposed to be the sort of core of everything going forward, right? But you don't really necessarily expect it to be as good as it was. I mean, I think one of my favorite scenes in TV in some years was the story about the, what do you want to call it, the prostitute or whatever. Like they're talking to each other at I think it's the puppet show. And just the banter back and forth is clever and witty and cool, but also it's so like indicative of the characters.
Yes.
It turns into it's one of those like silly conversations that turns into something more that feels organic in a way, but it's also so absurd. You know, I couldn't help but fall in love with it.
Also, I'm sorry. I think that this kind of, to bring back up another show that we were talking about where chemistry is great, I think that's like again what sold me on Wonder Man and what sells me on this is like the character work, the chemistry the actors have. The writing for them was amazing, and I think that's what I've really enjoyed in both of those shows. What really sold me, like
I get that. I agree. For me, this dynamic that they have works so perfectly because it even sets itself up for like these moments of like dual meaning, or like not even dual meaning, but like you almost think it's going one way, but like it's kind of going another way. So like when he finally catches up with Dunk, once Dunk has reached the tourney and he is hidden in the back of hidden in the back of a lamb cart to catch a ride and blah 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 blah. Dunk ends up being like, okay, fine, you can stay with me at least till the tourney's over, and then we'll figure it out from there. But you know, as long as you do what you're told and you carry your weight, you know, you'll be clothed, you'll be fed.
You won't get a clout in the ear.
You won't get a clout in the ear unless you deserve it. And you know, that night they finish everything up and they go to lay down, and and Egg had told him, I went to pitch your tent, but you didn't have one. He goes, I don't need a tent. The only tent that a real knight needs is this tree over their head or whatever, because he's a hedge knight. And as they're laying there, Egg's kind of being, to use your word, kind of sassy about it for a second. Again, another hint that he's not used to these types of conditions. And as they're laying there, like a shooting star passes over, and he tells Dunk, he's like, hey, that's good luck. The people to see that, or that means they have luck, coming their way. And then he goes on to say, I bet all the other knights are tucked away in their tents right now, looking up at canvas while we're sitting here looking up at the open sky. And I was like, oh man, he's still needling him about it. And Dunk took it that way at first too. And with Dunk, it kind of sunk into my head that he's saying we're the luck is all ours. And he says that, you're saying the luck's all ours, and he just kind of turns over and smiles and goes to sleep. I just thought that was a really cool moment between them, because it's he's saying hey, it's fine, we'll sleep like this, out in the open, because of this, we're the only ones who got to see the shooting star. And
I think that goes into that whole thing that when Dunk is talking to his father, and he's like, well, the castle is what's messing them up, after you find out that the other little bratty prince used to be a good person. And then he's like, well, maybe they're awful because they've been raised like this, the conditions that you raise them spoils them and makes them awful people. And he's like, I didn't have that, and that's why I am the way I am. And he's like, if Dunk doesn't have that, maybe he won't turn out like the other ones. And I think it's also really cool that his pride won't let him see that either. It's I the writing is just so good.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of different ways. I think one of my favorite essays would call it the big man baby child trope. There's a lot of different ways to do it,
TM.
Yeah. Tim Rogers. But you could have a cute kid that's just kind of precocious and cute. But the interplay between the two is really cool, because you have this highly educated child who is precocious and kind of willful and all these things. You have Dunk, who is been living in reality since he was his same age. But even though they kind of get one on each other all the time, there's a balance there that you see, there's things that they can offer each other. Yeah. And, that's hard to capture.
Yeah.
In writing, especially in TV, I think. So I think that's one of the reasons it shines.
I agree. Alex, what were your thoughts on it, on their on Egg as a character and their dynamic together?
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks kind of to what I was saying earlier about the nuance like that. You see a lot of reality in these two characters, just the uneasiness of Dunk knowing his past, knowing he's not a knight, not wanting to bring this random child into his lack of adventures, wanting to do right by him by not allowing him to, come on board immediately. And the blossoming of their relationship starts at that campsite. It falls apart whenever both reveal the truth about Egg. The classic falling out storyline can never go wrong.
Yeah.
And then it solidifies itself at the very end when they do actually get together and go off on their adventure.
Right.
I think it's
love
very
that
well done.
He ran away too.
Well, I was going to ask about that. Did that surprise you guys?
It, again, I don't know. I think I was just so caught up in enjoying the show that I'm not because I'm usually, when I'm watching a show, I'm picking it apart and
yeah, you usually catch a lot of things.
When I really enjoy a show like that, I just totally get lost in it, and that's how I know if it's a really good show for me.
Yeah.
And I was missing stuff left and right I should have been able to see, and when he's like, "Where's Egg? Where's Egg gone?" And I was like, "Oh shit,
he gone."
Yeah, I was like, "That's awesome."
That really surprised me.
And then I was like, I should have. When I saw his clothes, I was like, why is he wearing that garbage now? We know who you are. that's ridiculous. And then like I was like, after I realized he ran away, I was like, I should have been able to. That should have been a huge tip.
Yeah. Did it catch you off guard, or were you like, he totally ran away?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think it was. I do get what you're saying, though. I mean, I think that there is enough about the show that, you know, after every episode, I was like, oh, damn, I gotta go, like, make sure I remember who this character is and stuff. And that's part of the knowing that there's a wider universe and that these events are kind of have some connection to things later. But the show itself was just so, like, pulled me in so much.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for that next, like, little humorous joke or something like that. I don't know that the plot. There were obviously, like, the kind of end of the fight and all that stuff, not knowing where it went. I think there was still enough mystery there to still make it good and not fully predictable. But there are a few different beats. Like, you know, you see a bald child, you know he's going to be significant. You know, and being willful and running away multiple times throughout the show, it wasn't necessarily a big surprise, but it doesn't mean it didn't have any impact either. I think that speaks to the rest.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it was pretty obvious. I think I just missed it because I was like
I
enjoying it. Like I said,
I didn't think it obvious at all. It surprised me when I was like, oh, he let him come. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's the
and then
difference
like
between-
it cuts a few minutes later. It's like, where's my son? I was like, oh, they're screwed. They are so in trouble.
Well, it's also a difference between being like painfully obvious and just like, oh, well, that's not a surprise.
That's
you know,
fair,
like,
yeah.
I don't want to sound like I'm being like, oh, you dingus.
If they had literally just
No, I'm saying that I'm the dingus.
If,
I agree with you.
if they had just cut that opposite, like they could have cut to him saying, "Where's my son?" first, and then him running to
Yeah.
Duncan. And
But I think it was better for me.
it was so
the
much
other
better.
way.
It was so much better
'Cause I
was
think
like,
that
oh,
again-
that's so cool. His dad changed his mind.
That just really tells you
What a sweet guy.
who Egg is. Too.
Yeah.
Yes,
'Cause
yes,
Like I said, that little sassy, willful.
yes.
He's like, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I don't care. Like
Yeah.
I'm the prince or whatever, but I don't care.
In hindsight, doesn't it make sense though? Like, didn't he originally run away to
Yeah.
No,
that
yeah,
end?
and that's what I'm saying is like all
No, it fits.
all the clues were there.
Yeah.
I was so into what was going on that I wasn't like thinking like, oh, he totally ran away again, or
Yeah.
like, oh, like even with the prophecy or whatever. I like if I would have thought about it, I would have known that the dragons weren't a thing anymore. So when he was talking about him killing a dragon, I was like, that should have totally been obvious that was a metaphor
Yeah,
for the Targaryen dying. But because I was so into it and I was enjoying what was going on, that I didn't even think about that. I was just like, oh, you know, their dreams are always weird and have like, you know, hidden meanings or whatever. It's not like a one for one, like it's a prophecy. There's gonna be some interpretation there or whatever.
yeah.
And I was like, how stupid am I? Like that was so obvious that he was gonna die.
I think you could maybe give yourself a little too little credit too. I mean, like the TV in general has even changed from the first show, and things like subversion of expectations is more typical now, and more nuanced characters and stuff like that. You know, I think the show, I don't know how intentional it was, but just the random non sequiturs that were hilarious and had no reason to actually be there. Like the seeing his Dunk's mentor wake up in the morning on a typical morning, and then, you know, showing off his prize hog. Like, did that have to be in the show? No.
Yes.
Prize
But
hog.
Well,
but
Yes, it
did
did.
it make it better? Did
I
it,
think
did it
Game
show
of
you
Thrones-
that you
prize hog.
like you?
How would you know it was Game of Thrones if you didn't see some penis?
Yeah, but I also think that it feeds to.
Or a whole lot. I mean,
I do think it literally like it shows a greater purpose of other things that the show did, where even a jaded audience could lose themselves in it and not necessarily think that they could just predict the next thing
and
around the corner.
I love that because, like I said, normally when I'm watching something, my brain is like picking stuff apart and like trying to put clues together. But like I said, I was just loving, like I said, the chemistry and the dynamic that they have. I was just like, I don't even care about where the stories go. Like I'm in this for the
You were just
the
fully
feeling.
immersed.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to ask, how do we feel about like there's a really good supporting cast in this show. We got Lionel Baratheon. We got
Oh my god! Don't even get me started on Lionel.
Lionel. Oh my gosh! Like, is every Baratheon just awesome?
Well, he was an a-hole too, for sure.
Well,
He
but
was?
He's still a Baratheon.
Yeah.
How
Well,
was he? How did he
You
come?
remember that whole first party, like where he was like, you didn't know if he was going to like stab somebody or
Yeah,
not.
but
Like,
I
he was
loved
done.
that.
He's
I
like a-
loved his
he's
vibe.
like a wild card.
He was like
but
unstable, but I do
I
think
loved it.
It was actually funny because I think when was the last time, wasn't that actor in what was he in that I saw recently? Last time I saw him, he was just like a little weaselly like. So I think he did a really good job of like that sort of wild hunt like menace of excess. While still being like, all right, laugh at me or my jokes or I'll kill you.
No, seriously.
But then also being like a good friend
Yeah.
to Dunk. So
I don't know. I didn't get that. Like,
well, I mean, there's a little bit of it too when like I wouldn't necessarily say asshole, but like you can tell he's not like Dunk in that like happy-go-lucky like he's a good guy. He's a good person. He's like a knight, like what a knight's supposed to be. But he's also like, I mean, he's got a lot of like hatred for the Targaryens because they're like he sees them as
well,
like essentially like colonizers almost.
he's also probably like more Dunk has probably a more solid core, we'll say, of like good personness, and I think Baratheon is at the very least at the beginning more involved in things because like it's a novel, chaotic thing to do, and it entertains him, right? Like
Yeah.
more so than necessarily he cares until later. Like I think
He's
over
just kind
time,
of jaded to everything.
yeah, to an extent. Like he's seen everything. His life is in large part excess, but I think Dunk brings some sort of like a solid emotional core back to his life that I think, in the same way that like he mystifies Dunk, that surprising little connection, I think brings him kind of back to reality in a way.
I don't know. That first party, I just thought, like, my first thought was like, oh, he might be a jerk, but then like every time he went to say something like prolific, he was just like, nah, whatever, I don't know. Like,
I'm really drunk right now.
he like threw a bag of money out. Like, he told like this thing that was supposed to be like this like really deep story about like the beginning of what tourneys were, and I was like, oh, are like we getting a bit of like lore here? Like, what's going on? And then like no one did anything. He's like, nah, whatever. Here's 100 gold coins to whoever can stab me tomorrow. I was just like, okay.
Wasn't it that he couldn't remember?
Well, I think he poses it as like a hypothetical at first, but then no one answers him, and he goes,
Yeah.
no, seriously. And then he's like, yeah, whatever. And then that's when he throws the money
Right.
out. And when him and Dunk start like dancing and like trying to step on each other's feet,
Well,
like
that and the whole thing where he's like, well, if you're here and you don't want anything, then you're probably here to kill me.
yeah, that
And
was a really
it was like
cool
real
back
intense, and he
forth.
was like,
He's like, so you've come for my
supper? I was like, I came here for food, and he's like,
he loved it.
That's a
He
good
loved
yeah,
it.
it's great.
When he stepped on Dunk's foot and Dunk stepped on his back, he loved it. Like
Yeah.
these powerful people, like they like it. It's like in Game of Thrones, like Robert really thought it was hilarious when Ned called him fat.
Yeah, well, because they were boys. Too.
That's what I'm
It's
saying,
like,
but I'm
he was
sa-
like, nobody calls me fat anymore because I'm king. Yeah,
Right? Exactly. Like he was like, oh, okay, you're still Ned.
He's
All
like, you're
right."
still busting my balls.
Yeah, all right. Like like they get bored. I think. Obviously, Lionel's not king, but they're still a rich, notable family.
Well, I was just saying, it also sounds like he's like done he's done all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
and
because
it's
he
just
said he
like-
went out with the Stormborn, the great like the Greyjoy, the place they're from. He says
the
like
the Iron Islands.
Iron Island. Like he says like he went out on ships with them and stuff, which I guess is like uncommon if you're not from that area, which is kind of weird.
Well, yeah, I think they were saying something like he was like talking to him. He was like, like how did you do it? Like that had to be so scary. Where he was like, well, people have done it before, so I
Pretty
could
much.
probably do it.
He said, which is actually this was weirdly kind of prolific. He said that within every man is 1,000 men, and if they've done that, then somewhere
it
in
too.
me I've done it, and I can do it. And I was like, that's pretty. That's just great writing.
That's what I'm saying. His character is so good too, because like I said, at the end when he's like, "Oh, come with me, like come back, and we'll go to Dragonstone and we'll chill and we'll be boys. It'll be sick. And then he's like, no. And then he gets all pissed off and he's like, man, fuck you.
What about Appleboy?
I love him. I did. He did great.
The one who
Is
got
that the one who wanted to
stupid.
be knighted?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he did a good job. Like, it's so crazy. Like, I think he's like the squire. He ends up being the squire character you kind of want that, like, you know, actually has real aspirations. But like, the fact that they took the chance they had to ground him, they took him on a racist screed was like,
A what?
well, yeah, like when he went over about like the Targaryens and the how the kingdom was going to crap and
Yeah.
like, you know, like he just like suddenly turned into like a propaganda machine for his
Well, it's like
his brother and his political
saying,
his family and
all of that was like his cousin. Like,
Yeah,
he was like,
yeah.
I just heard my cousin say all this stuff.
yeah, he just spits it
Oh.
right
He's just
back
kinda
out.
I love how stupid he is too.
Yeah, he's
like-
kind of dumb.
But he's like, because he's dumb, like he can have fun and be happy and stuff.
he
And like,
he gets married.
yeah, to a prostitute that's pregnant, and it's like, he's happy. I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's having a good time.
Yeah, I think he's intended to be like sort of a hapless wind-up toy of a person in a way, but you know, with a good heart or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
when
like,
he's asking about bee magic.
I will say it was really sweet when he tried to give Dunk his horse back.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. And I'm trying to think if there was. I mean, we've already talked about Baylor. Baylor, gosh, that show
Yeah.
needed more Baylor.
Yeah, but you liked him too much. That's why they had to
That's-
murder him.
Well, yeah.
Classic Game of Thrones.
I feel like they almost had to have a character that was just too good for the world, and
Yes.
it couldn't be Dunk. Dunk had to feel the pain and be a little more complex, but it does make it like feel that much more tragic.
Yeah.
right?
You know, I've seen so many people break down like the original show and just talk about like every time you get like
Your heart
like
ripped out.
literally some, I forget who it was. It might have been Cosmonaut Variety Hour on YouTube, broke down Game of Thrones, and he was really talking about the last season and like how bad it was, but like he kind of goes on a little bit of an overview of the whole thing, and he talks about Ned. He's like, Ned literally almost solved all of the show's problems the day he landed in what's the name?
King's
Landing.
Yeah,
He was
it's
like,
too good.
but they couldn't have that happen.
We needed another season.
Yeah, or
There's more
7.
books. Yeah.
So you know he had to go, but the same thing with this guy, and I don't know how I didn't see it coming. I was like, "There's no way they kill this dude.
That should have been a dead giveaway.
He is great."
Oh, my favorite character. I can't wait to see him in season 2.
Yeah, nah.
To see him proliferate later on.
But proliferate. But yeah, you know, all in all, I gotta say, and Derek, just so you know, as I put a bow on this, I'll give you a minute to prepare. We always do a little rating system. We do out of 10, right?
Yeah, and you have to use half numbers, especially Alex.
I was gonna say 64.2 stars.
Oh
but
wow.
Good. That's a little bit more than 10.
I'm gonna have to recalibrate.
We always just give a little rating at the end, but I'll be kind of putting a bow on it while everyone thinks of kind of where they're at with it. But all in all, I think that for me personally, this brought my excitement for the Game of Thrones universe back completely. It made me want to go back to the books. Like, it made me want to go back to the books and finish them because I never did. But it made me want to start back over and like just go dive back
Just
into
go
that
watch
world.
3 or 4 seasons of Game of Thrones and then cut it off.
Well, that's why I want to go to the books. The books are good.
Yeah.
All 5 of the books are good from what I've heard.
Yeah, I probably should read those.
I think you would like them.
I
Have I ever
probably
told
would.
you? Have I ever told you about just as a quick little anecdote to end this? Have I ever told you about my first time trying to read those books? I had never read any fantasy book ever. Okay, and everyone was talking about like Game of Thrones this, Game of Thrones that, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be that cool hipster guy who's like, man, nah, I read the books.
The books are better.
So I went to Books A Million and picked up the first Game of Thrones book. And I cracked it open, and I'm reading this little prologue that it just like drops you right in the middle of like these random dudes who, by the way, you never hear from again. They're like from the Night's Watch going out. It's the same thing how the show opens. They like find the corpses in the weird pattern or whatever, and they run away. I got like maybe 3 or 4 chapters into this book and was wondering why all the chapters were like one word. Like I never picked up on Game of Thrones is written in POV. So like every chapter is named after the character that you're seeing it from.
Oh,
and
so
by the
you
time I
just
got,
didn't know any of these characters' names?
I didn't know any of the names. And so when I got to like the fourth or fifth chapter, you like, I don't know if this is who, but just for example, like maybe the first one is like John. Well, like you go like 3 or 4 chapters more in, and then you hit John again. And I was like, wait, how is this? What in the other chapter named John?
This is John too.
I was like, what? I don't understand. Why are the chapters have the same name? That's weird. And I was very confused. I was very, very, very confused. I put it down and never picked it back. I was like, Game of Thrones is stupid. I'm not watching that show. So anyway, yeah. Then, later on you got me hooked on it. And then I went back to read the books and I understood. I was like, oh, it's their names. And then I loved them. They're really, really good books. So what do you rate Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
I don't know. Probably like 8.5. I'd probably give it a 9, but I want more. And it's like
Is that a good reason to ding it?
Probably not, but it's like, man, I don't know what's up with shows doing like what was 6 episodes?
Yeah.
That's so little.
Yeah, but this was a high budget show, I think.
Yeah, but like that's why it's so good.
To be fair, I don't know that we're alone in like our not necessarily not enjoying House of the Dragon, but like just slightly underwhelmed. Like if everyone felt like that, they might have been like, hey, look, this is even a more niche thing in this universe. We're not going to go all out with this.
I get it. But like I said, it's like I wanted more Wonder Man, man. It's like you write something so good,
yeah,
and then you don't give
I
me
get
all of it.
so little of it.
Well, you're
But then
spoiled
I
because
get-
you have 1,200 episodes of One Piece.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's a great segue. Too bad we're not doing that yet.
okay, so you're at 8.5, right?
I'll give it a 9.
Okay, you're at 9. All right,
man.
Derek.
So what's a 1 on this scale?
1 is the best.
Awful.
It's the
Throw
absolute
it away.
best. 10 is like
No,
ugh.
what I mean is like what show,
Ooh,
book,
that's a
or
good
whatever.
question.
What would be a 10? That I can kind of like.
Okay, I don't know if I've seen a 10. Severance would be about the close to a 10 I would get.
Okay.
A 1 would be like, gosh, I mean,
Don't say Blue's Clues.
probably Blue's Clues.
Okay.
Yeah, the last season of Game of
I'm
Thrones.
not-
No, that's not a 1.
Yeah, it was. You
no,
didn't watch it.
You're
It was bad.
to put that at a 1. You're saying there's nothing worse than that, and that's not true. That's not true. Now it's
Well,
a
there's
huge
some,
dip.
There's some Disney shows.
It's a huge dip. There you go. Yes, actually, like Secret Invasion is like a 1. Like I mean, it's got to be something that was like so bad that you started it and couldn't
But-
even finish that season.
But
because,
also not so bad that it's good.
right,
Like you know, there's like a certain point where it's so
not a
bad
The
that we're, like,
Room.
we're making fun of it, and this is fun now.
All right.
2.
7.9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's for me. That's like really good, really solid, above average for sure. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily
ask
changing my life.
What your negatives are for it then?
My negatives are like some of the like direction, like some of the like sets look really good, but some of them don't. And then I think they could have done a better job of like trying to put it in a way that I don't want to sound too negative because there's not a lot of negative, but like
No, I mean, I'm just curious,
You
like,
gave me a
you
pretty
did-
tight scale. Like I don't want to accidentally like give something a 10, and you'd be like, listen, it's not in your car.
Feel free to give it your rating. I was
thank
just
you.
curious because like
Was it perfect?
I don't know.
It's kind of where I'm at, right? Like if I want to give something a 9, I want it to be like something that like I'm gonna go buy a physical copy of and keep in my house, and
That's a fair point.
I want
I don't know,
a poster
dude.
of it.
For me,
the
cinematography was
It was really
amazing.
There's
good.
some good stuff.
I think I'm leaning more with Derek on, like, I really enjoyed this. I really want more. Am I gonna, like, if I saw a physical release of this, am I gonna go spend $45 on a Blu-ray set season of this
Well, not for 6
and
episodes.
go get like a disc plate, poster and a shirt and all? Like, I'm not gonna like fan out for like, it's good, but I agree with him. Like a 9, you're getting into like territory of like, this is almost my life. Like, this is part of my personality now.
I don't know. I just think it was just like, for me.
Now, to be completely fair, I mean, you asked me to assign a more or less arbitrary number to it, and I
No,
did.
And then asked him to justify it on the spot.
I'm not trying to be like, you're wrong, Derek. I was just, I'm just,
No,
just
no.
We really
conversation.
set him up.
Just
No, yeah,
conversation.
yeah. I mean, you guys really got me. I didn't realize this would be some elaborate joke.
This was a sting operation.
Years
from the
in the
beginning.
making. I'm here. I'm talking, and
The title of this episode's Derek's Bad Takes.
got him.
Derek's hot takes.
Finally got him, everyone.
The Durger King.
And this is the one where it hits too. Like my shame and embarrassment. No, like I said, if that's the scale you give me, that's where it is. I do
that's
think
fair.
like it's some of the best TV I've seen.
I would agree.
In recent years. I haven't seen a lot.
That's also true.
But,
You're a big Cake Wars guy.
oh yeah. But I
Cake
definitely-
Wars a 10 for you? Or just curious.
Cake Wars is his 5. He's got to base the
Great,
rest.
Oh,
the
okay,
Great
okay.
British Bake Off.
Oh, no, that's it.
Is probably I would say 7. All right, so it's
So
getting
this
there.
is almost as good as
But it's a different
Game
show.
of Thrones.
Really, honestly, you need a different scale. But I mean, I expect at some point today we have other things we want to talk about.
Yeah,
so I could go
that's
hard
fair.
on this.
No,
one.
I like I said, I'm
Don't
not trying to-
challenge him
I'm
with
not-
the bake-off.
I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong.
Yeah,
That's
then,
not. That,
you know.
I'm just curious. I'd like to.
I understand you're not besmirching Bake Off because if you did,
I would never.
I would pour this Dr. Pepper on your
would
head.
have-
I don't even watch it. How could I besmirch it?
Well,
Alex, where are you at?
We will judge you. So.
Good. At first,
wrong.
all right. I was gonna say something like an 8. I think it's bare minimum 8 for me. But I think I'm
Maybe
gonna
like
go
an
9.
8.5.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Nice.
I was hoping he wouldn't see it.
I can't really think, at least off the top of my head, anything I disliked about it, other than I want more.
That's fair. That's fair.
I have no reason to go anywhere other than 9. I think.
I think
Agreed.
I think I'm at like an 8 with it. But I'm gonna go 8.7 just in honor of it being Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Well, it's actually 9.
Well,
but-
that's true, but that's not what they called it though.
well,
So I'm
yeah,
going with the,
because technically it's not. But
I'm going with the title.
But they changed it at the very end of the last episode, didn't they?
well, so the thing
I
was,
thought it showed 9 in the.
there's 9 areas, but like the thing is that when it was conquered, there were 7 like groups. So like some of those like the Iron Islands and stuff, some of that was lumped into one whole kingdom. So now it's kind of separated. It's like its own thing. So there's 9 areas or whatever. But when it was conquered, there were 7. So that's
Kind of
why.
like how all thumbs are fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs.
Right.
I think I would have gone with the square rectangle thing, but that's fine.
Right. How all thumbs are squares and all fingers are rectangles. Thank you.
I mean,
Perfectly
somehow
summarized.
that still makes sense.
Well, I guess with that, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to discuss season 2 of the One Piece live action Netflix show, and then rate it.
And that better be a 9.
We're back from break. We're going to jump into hour 2 here, where we are going to discuss something that I think most of us were pretty highly anticipating, really looking forward to. Season 2 of the live-action One Piece adaptation, which I think is... This could be an interesting conversation, because we got a few different... Between the 4 of us, viewpoints here. We got Ryan, who's like borderline caught up on the anime,
Not quite. I'm like 1/3 of the way through Wano.
but
Wow.
like episode number is.
Like 900 and something.
That's pretty close.
Yes, you're close.
I'm getting there. I've still got like 200-300 episodes left. That's still a lot.
We got Derek, who last I checked was more on the manga side than the anime side, and
Yeah, I actually watched very little of the anime.
and had stopped at Skypiea.
Yeah, I think even the last reread stopped.
Yeah,
at
I
Skype
stopped
again.
at Skypiea too. I just had to, give it a few months and then picked it back up.
We got Alex, who has watched. Did you even finish like East Blue,
I don't know what that means.
like the first arc of the anime?
Where did you stop,
I
roughly?
stopped like close to the end of Alabasta.
Oh, okay, okay. So a little behind Derek, and then I am like around episode 300. I'm like smack dab at the
Yeah,
peak
boy.
of Innie's lobby. So
The good stuff.
different levels of like engagement here and in experience with this world, and in different formats. Because you've pretty much solely read the manga. I have also kind of co-read the manga as I've watched bits and pieces. You've never touched the manga, but have
Well-
watched some of the anime.
When you started to read it, like originally, I had picked up a couple on the Kindle, but
Oh, okay,
otherwise,
okay.
no.
And then have you done the manga at all?
Entirely anime
I thought so.
because I don't want to buy 1,200 books.
Oh,
That's a
dude,
lot.
I'm gonna have that. Like, I gotta like start with the old man moment. I'm gonna try to end with one, but like the imagine like the only way you could read it is like a chapter at a time in a Shonen Jump, which is how I started it. I
Was
think
that monthly?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like
that's gotta
and
be rough.
I think I started with the literally second ever issue of Shonen Jump, which I believe was the first chapter of One Piece.
That is
think.
crazy.
But it also says a lot about how terribly behind I am because
I was
I've
gonna say,
had
also,
since
though-
2001.
I was say also though I think the fact that I didn't have to do that is what let me just watch.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
watching the show was not. I wouldn't say it's easy to do either because like those first like 300 is like. It was hard for me. I'm not gonna lie. It took a minute for me to get hooked and be on board, and I was like, "This is cool," but like the animation is awful, and the pacing is. I mean, if anybody knows anything about One Piece, they know they've heard all of these arguments before, and then you get to the point where Chris is at, and then it's like, "Oh, we're here, we're doing this," and it's. I've been doing it since, but.
Ryan told me there's not enough fan service for him, that's why he also started watching Fire Force.
I was gonna say, honestly, I think the big thing for why I'm enjoying the live action so much is because like you get a lot more of like in the anime, it's like you get cool fights and you get cool backstories and you get emotional draws and all, but like you don't see a lot of like the interaction between the crewmates is not as deep and like meaningful as it feels in this, and I think a lot of that is because they're drawing on stuff from the future. We'll get into that, but I also love that you get to see them like actually sailing. Like I think that's so cool that like when they had that trip up the red line and they're like struggling to sail the ship, I was like, that's it. This, I mean, it's a story about pirates and
Yeah.
there's very little stuff about sailing in it.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. That's one thing I love about this show so much is that there's so much dedication and heart put into. They want things to be as practical as possible. The fact that they built the Going Merry,
is crazy.
I love it. I love that they did that. You can tell that these actors are not having to interact with like green blocks and green poles. Like that, you can tell they feel like they're on a ship because they're on a ship.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. But before we get too into that, I want to ask. So you two, Alex and Ryan, y'all did not watch season 1 until we were prepping for this, right?
I watched parts of season 1 because like when it came out, it was all hype, and I was like, okay, but there were. I think I was roughly about where you are. Maybe I think I was a little bit past where you are in the anime when season 1 was coming out. And I think that much like right now, I'm like, I didn't even want to watch season 2 because I was like, I just want to be watching Wano right now. Like it's the story is so good where I'm at that it's like it's hard for me to tear myself away from it to watch something else.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did. It was good. But yeah,
Because I definitely want to talk. Me and you talked season 1 when it came out, but I want to throw in quickly that I have a very, very interesting story with season 1 because, and I don't even know if you know this, but season 1 of the live action is what got me to start reading the manga and watching the anime.
yeah. I think we talked about that.
The trailer was so intriguing. I was like, this looks awesome. Like, this is like a pirates thing. And I had heard of One Piece, but like I didn't know anything about it. I knew it was an anime, but that was it.
It's probably for the best that you didn't beforehand, because I think that's like a huge thing when I try to tell people about One Piece. They're like, 1,200 episodes. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it does seem daunting, but like I guess also coming from like now over the past like what I've known you now for like 3-ish years at least. Those past 3 years, just like falling in love with like the fantasy book genre. I embrace the challenge of like a big thick book or a huge order of episodes.
Well, I mean, I think that kind of goes to us, like my complaint about Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's like, I just want more.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't have to worry about that with One Piece. 'Cause there's more.
You're gonna get it.
There's plenty more.
But I watched that trailer and the things that were like standing out to me was just like, oh my gosh, look at these people in their outfits, the makeup, the practical, like everything. It didn't look very green screened and CGI characters left and right. And I was like, this is so cool that they're doing a show like this in this day and age that put like who is this that put this much.
I think they did such a good job with the costumes too, because like a lot of times when animes get adapted, they make the characters look ridiculous. Like they've got these absolutely insane hair pieces and like the clothing looks like it's made of like construction paper. Like I can't stand when you don't have a good costume and it feels like it's like, I mean, I know a lot of the anime stuff is like kind of out there and wild, but like I think they did such a good job in this one that it's like this is it obviously you can do it. Like you might not want to do it, you might want to put the time or the effort into it, but like if you're going to adapt something, I think this is the way to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. But so I got into it, and I told Derek, we were at lunch one day where I was like, have you seen this trailer for this live action One Piece thing that's coming out on Netflix? And he was like, I think you had like heard of it, but you had not seen the trailer, and you were like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd just been burned by Cowboy Bebop too.
And yes, and you were like, yeah, I think I'm gonna pass on that. And
Cowboy
I was like, dude,
Bebop's like a 1, by the way.
There you go. Yeah.
I'll kill you.
No, the remake, not the
live-
OG.
oh, yeah, not the good one.
No, I do think I do think the
I'll kill you.
I mean, like that one I think burned me in particular because I thought that I was jaded enough to not got anymore, and then seeing like I think the cast was still like solid casting and everything, and then it was just the writing was bad. Like
I would say you can do all
the bad choices,
all the right things for an adaptation, but then write it awful and it won't be good.
Yeah,
Well,
or change things that are so like fundamental to character or something like that. I mean, I think you can change a lot and still have the core, and maybe I'll talk about that a little bit more as we get through this conversation.
Probably.
Because they do change stuff in this one too.
Yeah,
So, but I think also, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like interrupt you, but I think also having Oda, I mean, me and Chris have talked about this a lot, is having the original creator there to like co-sign and say like, okay, if you have any questions or if like you want to tweak something, you can come to me and I'll tell you like, oh yeah, that works, or like that's absolutely ridiculous. There's no way that would happen. I think that's what really defines it. It's like you can tell that these are the characters. One or two things are gonna be a little different, but like at the end of the day, these are the characters that you love from the anime or the manga. You're just seeing a different version of them in a little bit different story.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of the same stuff struck me about that first trailer, and then seeing like some of the follow-up stuff with Oda himself. Speak to what you said, right? Where he had more involvement than you typically see. Like, I don't know what the story is with the Bebop one, but Watanabe, as far as I know, didn't have anything to do with it.
I hope not.
Or at least that's what he said after it came out.
No thanks.
No, I didn't do anything with that.
So
somebody readapted it.
Really? I wish they would have called me. And I think it's also like how you do an adaptation is very important too. But maybe I'll get that in a minute. I know we're talking about the trailer, but there was enough there pulled off like that. I was surprised on how much I wanted to, like how much it grabbed me. I was like, some of it also was like, I don't know. That is like you're choosing to do something most everyone else does not do. Like talking about costumes and things like that. So I've got to know if this can work or not.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, I was going to move away from the trailer a bit and go ahead and talk about, I remember what sticks out to me is you actually started watching the live action one before I did. And we met up again at lunch. We work together. We don't just like go out to lunch all the time, by the way. Like
there's nothing wrong with that, Chris. Like,
not that there's any, but they're like,
he said that to me.
they go to
at
lunch a
dinner.
lot.
He's going out with these dudes all the time.
If we're hanging out, it's automatically lunch.
They go to lunch like all the time. No, we eat lunch together at work a lot. And I asked you what you were thinking of it, and the thing that I remember you said, like that stuck out to me the most, was how surprised you were at the breadcrumbs they were already planting, the seeds they were already planting in the first episode of the first season, because you were like, look, I'm not like very far in the manga, but like there are people in the crowd in the first scene of the first episode that I know don't come in until way later.
Yeah.
And you were like impressed by like the gall of them to be like, no, like we'll make it there. We'll get there. Mm-hmm. We're going to go ahead and show them. And they do that again in this season, which they do it with people I'm not even that familiar with at this point, but Ryan knows most of them.
Yep.
But you get these subtle references to things, and there were. I really hate that. Like I guess you're probably like me. Like if you're in tune to it at all, you're probably spoiled on most major things from it. But
like to an extent, yeah. I mean, it's just osmosis, like being around it all these years. Like when a big arc happens, like it was part of the conversation.
Right,
So
it's just part of your zeitgeist of being in that zone.
So I couldn't give anything almost beat for beat, even to an extent. Now it's been long enough. I couldn't give you Alabasta beat for beat, but I can say like I could see some of those things still happening, even if I didn't understand every single one. I was like, oh well, I know who that guy's going to be later, or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to cut in. I will just say that I'm curious. I wish we could talk about this a bit more, but you guys being further behind than I am, I don't want to get too much in the weeds of what's going to happen. But Oda's already said he knows what arc he's going to end the live action, and it's not going to adapt the full thing. And I was sitting there trying to figure out where, and I don't even have a clue, because I'm like, honestly, at a certain point, it's like everything just kind of snowballs, like one arc after another, after another, after another. And it's like, I don't know how you're going to end it.
I actually
on
have
some of those arcs.
some ideas on that. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure how you want to structure the conversation, but like I definitely.
I want it to be kind of free flowing. So I mean, if we're on.
Well, I mean, so I feel like I'm starting off on almost the wrong foot, but like some of the criticisms I might have about it is where you have things that are like really hard to adapt, and there was, I feel like, more in the second season than the first. So some of the more absurd things that happen, like Sanji, the sort of artificial spinning up of the film, so Sanji spins faster and stuff like that, feels more jarring when everything else is so sort of organic. And like you can have someone with a hairstyle that doesn't make any sense, treated completely, in universe, and doesn't feel jarring. I think the further you get from reality, and this is in a show with a stretchy guy as the main character, the harder it'll be to adapt. And the more crazy the character designs get, the more the budget inflates.
Well, and that's a big part of it. It's like, I don't even know how they're going to do, like, if they get to the point where hockey's a thing, I don't know how they're going to do some of that.
And the more complexity.
Well, they know about baseball, so hockey's coming, I think.
Yeah.
And really, there might not be enough money in the universe to keep the live action going as long as, even with the condensing they've done.
Well, that's like, I think it's good that he has his mind already made before it was like really going where we're going to end it. And I think I trust Oda enough to know that he'll wrap it up nice and it won't be awful. My only thing is, like I said, I was like, I don't even know. Like, realistically, I can't think of a good stopping point other than, like, Skypiea. But then, like, Skypiea is, in my opinion, where the whole show, like right after Skypiea, that's when, like, the actual main piece of what we're working with starts, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have the time skip and stuff too. So that, I mean, it's there's a lot of places he could probably pick, and any of them I think lend themselves to just kind of being open ended for a return or something later. You know how I like to do sometimes, but
yeah,
like
maybe if or if it's like if you want to know this, go watch the anime.
just the fact that they're not like, we're gonna milk this as long as we possibly can. I mean, they really could just do it forever, and I prefer if they didn't, because that's usually when things fall apart.
Well, like I said, on the bright side,
Yeah, but
he
there's
said
so
he's
much
not going
source
to.
material.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so much source material, but like, part of the reason Game of Thrones arguably faltered is because like they lost focus. They got tired of doing it. The showrunners wanted to be doing other things or making other deals because of the stuff. They had more lucrative contracts that they could do, and maybe didn't have the connection, or maybe had it and just got burnt out on making the same show. Like, so when that starts to degrade, I think the focus in the show started to degrade. I mean, it mattered.
Yeah, I think that really like speaks to the devotion of like Oda, and like to have made this manga and anime and this story this for so long, and still be doing it is crazy.
That's true, but like, can we also agree that for D&D, who did Game of Thrones, I always forget their full names, Dan and Dan or something, Dan and Dave. They, first of all, I think part of the issue there was that there was no end in sight. I mean, the new books weren't. Not only were they not out, they weren't coming out. They still aren't. And with those books. You kind of have to adapt as much of it as you can. Whereas with One Piece, if you're adapting the manga or the anime, almost especially the anime, because from what I've heard, there's actually less filler in the manga. The anime added some stuff in order to...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's common for like the big long-running shonen things or whatever. That sometimes production outpaces.
Right. So, if you're adapting, then... forget the anime, the manga. I think there are things you can more easily condense. There are things you can more easily almost skip entirely. You're going to have to pick and choose. I mean, you can't pick like one of the most important things and just skip it. But I'm saying, like, I think in 2 seasons, they have shown good examples of condensing things that might have taken years to come out fully in the manga or the anime, and they've been in 16 episodes worth of the show. They've been able to like set up things that, like, I mean, we've already seen Brooke.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I think it's possible to do, but like people get older. Like eventually, even to just the large amount of material there is, you couldn't really do it without handing off between actors, even with a highly condensed pace. Some of the main characters move out of their 20s, and suddenly it seems a lot different all of a sudden, which, you got time skip or whatever. But like I also like the idea, kind of, I feel like you were alluding to it, right? It was like knowing you're going to end changes how you make something. and I think it orients you into really selling that ending and making sure it works and everything in between. Whereas, you orient differently if you're just like, we got to keep this money train rolling.
I think again a big boon to them having Oda be a part of it is like he can be like, no, this makes sense to stop here too. Me personally, I'm just saying I don't know where I would stop it if I had to make that call. Obviously, Oda knows the show better than I do, but I don't know, man. I'm curious. I'm just curious to see where he does think a good ending point is, because, like I said, I was thinking about it, and I don't know. Maybe it's because I feel like some of the stuff in the later stuff is so important that I'm like, I don't know how you would cut out a lot of that. And
that's kind of where I'm getting at. Is like, there's things I'm just like, the more the show goes on, the more I want to see. If anything, I would have skipped over some of the beginning stuff. Like,
well, and that's why I think me personally, anything after Skypiea, if they show it, I'm like, well, now how are you going to end it?
Well, also think about the things that make this, I think, the show work and be more special, and like speak to kind of what I think a lot of people in the subculture at least want out of media right now, right? And a lot of those things are going to be more degraded the higher the stakes get. Gear 5 transformation has to be all CG, right?
Not necessarily.
Gear 5 in particular? Absolutely it does. Like
Has to be CG.
it has to be.
Why?
Yeah, because it just
You can't put him in that outfit and put a wig.
You can't
It doesn't work.
rip his eyes off.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think
Rip his eyes
he
off.
literally.
I'm spoiling stuff for you. Stop it.
I mean, like
I know his eyes, but I know he's like defies reality.
He's got the Toon verse, dude.
I
He's
know.
like-
Yeah, so like you very literally you would almost have to go back. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, there's probably some sort of you take it back and you take the animation from the latest movie or whatever where they had Gear 5. It's beautiful, right? I watched that just because it was so badass, and that little 12-year-old boy still lives inside of me from when I was reading it, So, but I think that something like that degrades the show in whole. Like, it's almost like a regular anime season to an extent.
I would say Sorry. I'm just gonna say that people are already upset about Chopper, so
Well, that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and I
I thought they did him well.
I think so too. But
I'm not without criticism, but I also think that like they did. I think they. I guess I'll go ahead and just say like kind of like, in general, I think they maintain the emotional core of everything, right? And that includes Chopper. I think Chopper as a character still works. I think that the CG is a little more jarring. That transformation is a little more jarring. I don't see how I think they made as judicious a choice they could on which one could be done practically and which one couldn't. It's still a little strange to hear Chopper's voice come out of the big man face, and then I think some of the later costumes felt more rushed, and the final battle had kind of the remember me complaining about Wheel of Time and the big giant battle that was supposed to happen with like these huge battlefronts across like the countryside of armies of 10,000 people, but when you try to adapt that, it's like 20 guys in the woods, right? And there's a little bit of that happens here in the final battle too, where it's like four guys who just kind of keep getting back up again, which is part of it, but it doesn't feel the stakes of the entire country of there's multiple towns in the manga, like they have to get to the capital and all that, whereas this feels like it's supposed to be a whole country in danger, but it's like a very tiny 2-street town, because Chopper was very expensive. So that's kind of what I was getting at. You know what I mean? Like, they did a good job and it looks great. That's some of the better CG I've seen. But the further you progress and the more the stakes rise and the more absurd it gets, you start to come back around and bite your own tail, I guess.
I was saying people were upset about the in the fight with Mr. 3 when they do the team up move and he shoots the fire star and his swords catch on fire. People were like, "Oh, this is cooked. This is garbage." And it's like,
I liked that.
Well, because you like to have fun. The problem is the people on the internet see it and they're like, "This is trash," and it's like, this is only the very beginning of that, and the further you get, I think Derek's point is that the harder it becomes to suspend your what is and isn't reality, and like what we can viably make look good enough to pass. Again, I think people like you and me can put that aside and watch it and enjoy it because we love the story. But the vast majority of people are only going to be there for so much of that. And like I said, the whole Chopper thing, like I will agree, Chopper in his big beefed up form, he looks ugly. He looks hideous. I think there's a good reason for it. I think story-wise, it makes a lot of sense.
Still works.
That a lot of people probably watching it don't know, and that's why they're so upset. They're like, he looks friggin' hideous, and it's like, well, it's because it's supposed to be like almost kind of uncanny valley because he's like,
Yeah, it's
He's
supposed to be.
he's trying to look human, and he's not. But again, that's what. But like people are gonna see it and they're gonna complain, and they're not gonna have watched 900 episodes of the anime or read all the manga, so that you got to know your audience too.
Just wait till he cracks those rum balls.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy too.
See what they have to
And
say
they
about
show
that.
them too, so
I
you know
know.
it's happening.
He said it's a secret.
I mean, honestly, even having Walpole on screen was like a little like uncanny for me sometimes, just because of I do think they did the effects surprisingly well of like how his power worked.
His
and all that
mouth
stuff.
was weird.
Yeah,
I will
like,
give
I thought it worked pretty well.
I think again, because I think you like to have fun. I think that you can look at it and be like, oh, this is a good time. And it's like, at the same time, it is a little weird.
No, it is. I mean, I don't want to come off like I'm being like overly.
You're not glazing.
Yeah, like I'm not. I had I had issues with some stuff in here, but it's like I think it was you and I having the conversation the other day at lunch, where I was telling him like watching this show. You know how like it took you guys like so long to get me into anime, and I just had issue with some of what I called like corny features in anime, and it took me a long time to be kind of getting over that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
I
that
still
is.
have to get over it sometimes.
I feel like that's magnified when you adapt it because anime is so over the top, and these actors are trying to capture what people love about these characters, these over the top characters. The guy who's doing Luffy, like, he catches a lot of criticism because Luffy is so beloved. And people are really bashing him online that he's not a good actor. I would disagree.
Yeah, well, again, I think that it's because people don't know the character that he's portraying.
Well, not even that. Like people who love the character are saying they would rather see someone else do Luffy. But I don't think they have someone in mind. But
crazy.
What I'm saying is, there are things that I watch him do, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of corny. But like that is the anime. Like that is what he's.
Luffy is kind of corny. He's an idiot, and he's he is who he is, and I think he's doing a fantastic job personally.
The thing on Little Garden where the girl was painting on him and he had to do all these different like extreme emotions and the crying when he was depressed and he got like really angry when she painted he did a really good job. And I was literally thinking while watching that, I was like, dude, these people are talking about he's not a good actor. He's acting his butt off in just this scene.
Well, yeah, like I mean, Oda himself, even speaking about his own work, I mean, I think if you like any kind of study, any kind of like actual look at why One Piece is what it is, like in culture, like across all these different countries, all this like a funny comedy action anime is worldwide, one like maybe the biggest properties in the world, because Oda is doing more with less, right? And that has to be translated and translated again almost, because you're doing this sort of cultural translation. When you take it from the Japanese, you have to take it out of one medium into the other, and so it's a big thing for the actors to have to try and do when a lot of Oda's storytelling is happening like literally in a frame. He's got deliberately sparse dialogue. You know, a lot of his characters speak sort of forthright, stylistically, iconically, or absurdly, because his art is in the between those lines.
I was gonna say, to my point earlier about like you're getting a lot more of what is like what's kind of in between the lines.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of dialogue between like Zoro and Nami and stuff that never happens, but like it totally would happen. And you know that because you know you care about these characters and you're like, oh, they're doing a great job. And I think that a lot of that stuff is from people, like from my personal opinion, I think those are people who don't know the actual story. Because like I don't see how you could watch it and be like they're doing a bad job. Now if you're like, hey, this is kind of corny, or like this is too cheesy for me, or like this is like Laura watched some of it with me and was like, this is a weird show, and I was like, yes, but it's great. But it is weird. I mean, it is what it is. So
yeah, I think like Oda's intentionality when he does this stuff. He's a thoughtful guy. You know, it's like the people that say One Piece isn't political. Right? You and I have talked about this. You know, like it's like one of the most like dyed in the wool like textual political things, right? Who Luffy is and what he does is that like kind of period. So if you miss it, you're such a surface level reading, and it's kind of the same with how the actors are portraying. Like a lot of actors in a lot of shows, Cowboy Bebop is no exception, where these guys did all this training and all this stuff, you know, to do a very hard job of bringing something that is sort of like surreal into the three dimensions. And I think Inaki does a great job of being that guy who can say wahoo and, you know, do this childish dumb stuff and sell at the same time, like you said, the levels of emotion he gets to, who can say this sort of simple phrase like, no, shut up and join my crew, and make it believable. And I think if you're someone who is like so cynical as not to see the one for one with Luffy there, you're missing it. You know, you're kind of deliberately at a certain point. I think there's a lot of stuff you could criticize, and some of it's taste, and taste is difficult.
That's subjective. You're getting into the subjective part of
yeah,
that
and
point.
it's hard to say anything's perfectly objective, but you know there are things like, you know, personally, some of the costume decisions I don't think you had to go as hard on. You know, like Herlock's hair almost took me out of it a couple times.
Really?
Yeah,
I loved that they did that.
that's what I. That's,
but at the
for
same,
me, that was like, this is one for one, dude. Like,
yeah,
this is,
I mean, I do,
and it doesn't. I mean, it looks ridiculous because it is ridiculous, but it doesn't come off. In my opinion, stuff like that didn't come off as corny.
I think it helps that, you know, Oda himself makes these art decisions, right? Like he has characters that literally don't have a human form, but he's telling you that it's a human being, right? And that I think that helps it not feel as jarring whenever you're seeing that translate on the screen. You know, even when I was a little, really, you're gonna go that hard, that far? It's impressive, one, but it's also the fact that the actors can act through that stuff and still get all the beats. I don't, you know, like I can like nitpick or whatever, but they did it. They did the job.
I was gonna say, I saw the Waffle talking about his outfit is like 80 pounds, and it's like he's like sweating profusely, and I was like, but I mean, he delivered. There was a few times where I was like, that looks not great, but like honestly, overall, I thought it was amazing that you could be in that situation and still deliver that kind of, you know, act.
Yeah. Alex, so you haven't really said much yet. I know, again, you probably the least in the world. And like Ryan, you had not watched season 1. So as someone who's probably the least experienced with the IP and kind of just binged 2 seasons of this live action, I'm really curious to hear like what you thought, how you felt. What are you feeling like from here? Where do you go?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think a lot of it came off very naturally. It is hard to translate a character like Luffy into something like live action. I think the actor does a very good job most of the time. It is challenging, and like what Derek just said, I think that last scene of him recruiting Chopper, that scream, that didn't do it for me. but I do think he pulls off the like wahoos. I think he does those great. I think that works for him. But like sometimes it does kind of drag me out a little bit because that kind of stuff I don't think it's translatable enough to be like
the Giants
acceptable.
having the the Japanese onomatopoeia is like a whole thing, right? That you even when you watch anime all the time, you don't get all the time. But the fact that the Giants have those like very distinct laughs,
Yes.
and that the fact they did it in the show,
Yes.
I'm actually very curious how you felt about something like that.
That worked for me.
See, and
That felt completely natural.
I was like teeter tottering. I still can't.
See,
But-
honestly, I watch the anime and the laughs kill me sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing? Like when you meet Caesar, dude, I hated Caesar because I was like, if you laugh one more time, I swear to God.
the Foxy pirate captain.
Yeah. I didn't enjoy Foxy either. So yeah, it's freaking what's the Marine with Robin, the giant?
Yeah.
There's like, there is she.
Yeah.
What are you doing? No one laughs like that.
I liked it.
I guess
It's
but-
endearing. So, but you were on the edge about it too. You were like, eh.
Well, I mean, I got like part of it is that so much of that stuff was like I didn't learn about that stuff until actually like getting into anime, like and understanding more about like the culture it came from. Like reading when I was growing up, like some of this stuff was to the point where they literally like whited it out of the art, like. So knowing that like there was so much more story happening was pretty eye opening. And something like this is like, I mean, that's a comedy thing too, is like have them have a silly laugh that matches their character and all that. And I think that feels to me why they made that decision to like maintain them, to maintain this sort of otherworldly, surreal, funny thing. But I'm not used to seeing that translated even in anime sometimes, oftentimes. So seeing it in live action was like that much more for me.
Jarring a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean,
So I'm gonna agree with you on the scene that he referenced, the shut up and join our crew. Like it's those moments where I'm like, that's when it kind of pulls me out for a second. I'm like, gosh, that was so corny. Yeah. Like, yes, I could see Luffy in the anime doing that. Matter of fact, he probably does do almost that exact thing in the anime. Mm-hmm. But first of all, his voice actor is so good in the original Japanese anime. And second of all, it hits different, seeing a cartoon do that versus a real person. But here's what he does do very, very well. The moment when, what is her name? Doctorine,
It starts with a K.
Kureha or
Kureha.
Kureha or whatever.
Yeah, Korea.
The moment that she finishes telling Sanji, Nami, and Luffy Chopper's backstory, and Luffy, what's his name? Iñaki. He just tilts his bowl up. He finishes like his soup. Doesn't say a word. Puts it down. He stands up. And he's not doing anything. He's not emoting. He's very stone-faced. But like if you know Luffy, you know what he's doing. And he just walks out of the room quietly. And that gave me chills because she looks at them and she's like, where's he going? And you're like, I know where he's going. He's going to find Chopper. He wants him now.
Yeah. Well, you can almost see it. I loved it too because like when him and Sanji are like messing with him, and he's like eating the carrot, and he's just looking at him. You could tell by the way he's looking at him that he's like, "You're gonna be on my crew, and you don't even know it."
I like you. Yeah. He's like, I thought he was special. I guess not. We'll just put him in a stew with some carrots and potatoes. That scene, I thought they adapted well too, because in the anime. Oh, okay, thank you. We're technically a little behind on the time, so but I appreciate it. A lot of that beginning is gonna get cut. But in the anime, they like chase him around the castle for like a long time trying to eat him, and I thought they were gonna do that in this. But I really liked that in this they were just like really intrigued by him and like wanting to know more about him. I realize that we're kind of skipping over like most of the season to talk about the Chopper stuff, but I will say while we're on it, I don't know about y'all, but those last 3 episodes, I think I cried in each one. They
Not
really
quite, but like I could see how you would. Like it is very emotional. Like I said, I think they do such a good job with. I mean, it's like I said, it's darn near one for one. Like the whole, you don't know it yet, but like the whole time Sanji's talking about his backstory with his mom, that got me because I was like, I just watched that in Whole Cake, and I was like, oh man. But it's like also earlier we were talking about them putting stuff in that's not really in there, and that's part of it. I think they do such a good job of taking stuff from the later episodes that you learn and sprinkling it in, so these characters feel so much more fleshed out right now than they do at this point in the anime, and it's great. I also want to say that Sanji being like a playboy and not like just a total pervert weirdo. I love that I can actually enjoy Sanji now.
I wouldn't even describe him as playboy. He's just more of a suave gentleman.
Yeah, but like I mean he'll flirt with any female, so yeah.
It doesn't even come off as, maybe it's because I'm so used to the anime, but it doesn't even come off as flirty to me.
It does a little
confident
bit,
a little bit.
But like that's what I'm saying is like it feels like this is a regular person. Like this is just somebody who is a flirty, charismatic.
Yeah.
I think that changing that aspect of him dialed down is probably the best thing they could do, especially for a live
No, they
action
would have
adaptation.
to. They would have to. They've gotten a lot of flack for the animated version of him.
Well, I was just saying Toei also does not like Sanji, so they literally put stuff in the anime that's not in the manga that kind of makes him look worse. So,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
And there's also, like I said, part of the translation is like smoothing over some things that aren't as. Well, my mom learned that anime had nudity in it fairly routinely. It was shocking to her, and I was just about banned from it for a while, But like, the cultural mores are different, So comedy often has like this pervert, like Roshi, right? Like I think I actually had a conversation with Alex fairly recently about like
I think it's pronounced Yoshi.
no, Master Roshi.
Donald Glover.
It's going a little afield here, but like a conversation with Alex recently about like Master Roshi as a character. He's a funny character, he's a comedic character. He's also like the perverted hermit. So like showing my daughter Dragon Ball when he's being a really like problematic creep, but my love for the character is still kind of built on growing up with him, and in a way, like there's still other humorous things about him, but that's like, well, I don't need to see those episodes when he like doesn't offer his help without seeing someone's underwear, like, and I think if you were to do like an actually good Dragon Ball live action adaptation, you would probably cut that out.
So yeah, they're gonna have to cut stuff from Brook too, because he's a little weirdo.
Yeah, and grounding the characters. I was going to ask you, Alex, kind of like with the first season, because you were coming like fresh.
Mm-hmm.
But you've watched plenty of anime, and so what do you feel like? How well did they do with the decisions they made? Do you think, and for that kind of stuff, the cultural stuff, but also like,
I mean, overall, I think everything flows very well. I think most things feel very, not intact, but like, it feels natural, I guess. And in reference to like the adaptation from anime to live action, I think it retains as much as it can reasonably without just being unnecessary. I think it does everything very, very well in its adaptation and how it translates things.
I also think that this was geared more towards like a Western audience too. So
I think it's a Western audience that's now savvy to anime, right? Like,
yeah, so like they can leave in enough to make it like faithful, but I think they kind of know where they can cut some of this and like make it not as jarring for the Western audience. Because like I think that's a big point, that it's like it's so hard for me to suggest certain animes and stuff, because I'm like it's so good, but like some of the stuff when translated is very cringe, and it's like it's because it's a different culture. Like that their jokes are not as funny to you as they are to them, because you don't get all the nuance in a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, do you guys know Kill the Kill?
Yep.
Okay. Well, you'll probably know enough
I do
about it
not.
after I tell the anecdote
For our audio only people.
But to your point, like I remember being so excited when Kill la Kill came out, and there was someone asking me like, "Oh man, I want to get an anime." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so excited. This is such a cool show. It's so subversive. It does all these things with the genre it's in. This is one of the early like trigger shows. So like the animation was just like, right now we're kind of spoiled with Mappa and Science Seiyu and all these
Amazing
shops.
studios.
Yeah, they're just putting so much into these.
Is Toei not?
Toei's kind of like your work.
They're getting. I think
They're
they're
getting better.
Getting better. Like as you watch the One Piece anime, or I think they've improved a lot. As the
They give
like
them
the tech
technology
and stuff like that. Toei was like, I don't want to say bargain basement exactly, but it's like a sort of Saturday morning cartoon type thing. You know what I mean? Like you get enough production to get the story across, but
That's why
you're
they're
going off model
redoing
every 4 frames too.
Dragon Ball.
Right.
Right.
So, it had all these things to speak to it.
Super.
And I bring it up. Yeah, super. I bring it up on the computer, and I'm showing it to them, and they're like, "Why are they dressed that way?" And was so, sorry about that. I was so, in the culture at that point that I just didn't notice that everyone in the show is in like essentially a bikini or worse.
Yeah.
Like
It's-
male, female, whatever. It's really about like, it's a kind of about that almost. And, to show someone that uninitiated is so jarring for them. They're like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, this is weird, dude.
yeah.
That's why I hate when I watch an anime and I'm like, oh, dude, the story's so good, the characters are great, and then I tell somebody about it, and then I think, and I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have told them that, because they're gonna watch this and be like, that dude's weird.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, these shows actually, I'm really surprised over and over how much, you can tell how much bigger these things are, and how much like just kind of everybody watches. It's closer to what the sort of mythical Japan that I imagine that sort of exists, sort of doesn't, where everybody watches anime and everybody reads manga, and it's not a big deal, and adults can do it and kids can do it or whatever. And we're closer to that than ever, and it allows for something like this to exist, where we were upset about it, but it probably wasn't justified to spend 300, 500 million, whatever it cost, to make something like this. Because you just didn't have enough people to watch it.
We don't have to get too deep into this, but I am curious. Have any of you heard about the little outrage about this season? What people are calling the fan service moment in this season.
I think you brought this up a while ago with Nami.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the bikini top thing?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard any. Like, I'm not plugged into any sort of commentary, but
I saw people being weird on the internet, and I was like,
Shocker.
Well, define what you mean by that.
Somebody was talking about the casting and was talking about Nami being not a good Nami because her breasts weren't big enough, and I was like,
wow.
yeah.
It's so hard for me to be an anime fan when this is what people are gonna see and be like, oh, this dude's weird.
He's one of them.
Because that's weird. Like,
Yeah.
I don't give a crap about that.
Yeah. Well, people were on the flip side of that, because that is ridiculous on one extreme. I think another extreme on the other end of the spectrum is people were mad that she walked in to the room at one point when they were going through parts of the Grand Line and the weather was changing, that she had a bikini top on.
Yep.
because they were going through like a hot, rainy part, and then she comes in and she grabs a jacket because it turns snowy, and then she comes back in and takes the jacket back off because they're back in normal weather. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not that in tune to it, but like I don't call that fan service.
No, I mean, I think it kind of was. I think it's jarring because there's not like there's a lot more of that in the manga and show, from my memory, than there is in this show. So
Yeah, I
to
guess
have
that's why I'm saying
fan
that.
service not really be a thing.
I will say that like it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
And that's why people are gonna call it fan service, because like it didn't serve any plot point for that. Like that doesn't matter. Like it's not a pivotal story
She didn't
role
have
that
to
the
be wearing
weather
a
changes.
Bikini top.
Also, Nami's the world's most amazing navigator and is supposed to be like super in tune with the weather. So that, again, it just feels a little weird. It felt like it was like we're doing this for the sake of doing it. But on the flip side of that, I think it's fine because again, Nami wears bikinis like constantly. So
yeah.
how much of that is fan service and how much is that is just them being faithful to the character? How much of that? I think it's one of those things where it's like you and me, it's just part of the show. Like I don't care. If you want to hyper analyze everything, of course you're going to be able to find something that you don't like, or oh, like this doesn't make sense, or like just I think a lot of people just need to shut up and just enjoy it, and just if you don't like every second of it, don't watch it, or just get over it. I mean, it's like what, like a 2 minute.
It's not
It's
even.
not even,
I mean,
yeah,
it's like
nothing.
a brief. It's just to explain like we're now in a part of the world. We're on a piece of the ocean that like defies all laws of like.
Yeah, like it gets the point across. Like it's not like it's completely useless or whatever for the narrative. Like I think, as is often the case, I'm like a hair off of Ryan when it comes to this, like my reading. But like I you said it. Like is it 100% necessary? Is it actually more true to the character? Actually, arguably, yes. Like I think if it's jarring at all, it's because the show didn't sort of set that up as part of what Nami does in the live action. She's not about like, that sort of liberation of Nami and her owning that part of herself is not part of this Nami, right? Not from the beginning, and arguably not as much from the beginning there either. That's probably more like
Well, it's like
post time skip thing.
yeah, I was just saying everything pre Arlong is a very different Nami as well, and that again, I think that's a lot of people miss a lot of this stuff because like the crew before they become the crew are not the same characters. Like they are, but they aren't. Like
They grow and change.
exactly, and that's what I mean. They grow together and like they become more themselves.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if people are less upset about Nico having cleavage in every outfit because it is more core to her sort of femme fatale spy character to be someone that's a little more overtly sexual, right? And I also think it helps. It makes, in some ways, Nami being in a bikini makes a little more sense in the live action show because they're all older than they are in the manga too.
Thank
right?
God.
Yeah, like jeez. So you got that stuff to sort of go. So you could go throughout the show, like Ryan said, and nitpick necessarily, but for me, it all comes back around to, there was a brief. Did they follow the brief? Did they get the emotional core across? They did.
Also, if it were like every episode, I could be like, okay, you're
Right.
being
You go
ridiculous.
too hard. Yeah.
It was like one blip in one episode.
Of 2 seasons, by the way, because she
Yeah.
didn't have anything in the first season that was like that I remember.
Yeah.
That I remember.
I encourage people who think that it was ridiculous to just look up any art of Nami in any arc other than the first 2.
Yeah.
I dare you.
Which I would argue, even if they did post time skip stuff, it doesn't make any sense for a character, even as, I wouldn't want a Nami who's in a bikini top all the time necessarily in a live action adaptation.
Yeah, I
for
mean,
me,
that's
it kind
not
of
practical
it
either,
fades into the background when I'm actually looking at the manga page, right? And I'm not necessarily saying that people should get that desensitized to the same thing because it's less important. the fact that she's wearing a bikini top has meaning, but that's kind of it. I mean, there's also like, it's a manga for teenage boys, and that's how one of the ways you sell them.
They're also
Well,
on a ship
can
in
we-
the ocean.
In the
So,
ocean.
like,
I mean, there's also the point where they are reaching Drum Island, and Zoro is standing there on the
Yeah.
bow of the ship, completely shirtless, chest flexed. By the way, absolute unit.
Yeah,
He's a
dude.
beast. That dude
That
got
was,
ripped for this role.
that was Oda's one piece of advice for him from going from season 1 to season 2. He was like, your neck needs to be bigger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but that's interesting. But yeah, he got
So he
he
beefed
definitely
up.
he
Yeah.
did.
I do like that they were kind of equal opportunity in that way.
They were, and I was gonna say, like, I didn't see anyone online flipping out about. Now,
Well,
there
that's
were a
also
lot
because Zoro,
there-
again, almost never wears a shirt. Like, that's part of
That's what I'm
his
saying.
character.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there were a lot of women like making jokes about like, oh, I might go check out one, like posting that picture everywhere.
Yeah.
But like, no one was freaking out about him, like not having the shirt on and women fawning over it.
We're risking another kind of conversation. There's a lot more charge. There's a lot more charge to like there's a lot more cultural context to a
Women
a-
being
a-
objectified
yeah,
over men. Yeah.
exactly
Agreed.
right. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot more there that would make it more fraught, right? Like, and it's not a 1-for-1. I don't necessarily. I agree with your take that like for me, like part of the whole Kill a Kill cell for me was that all the nude characters were nude together, male, female, whatever, big body, small body, cut body, flabby body. But that art is lost when you are not plugged in.
Well, that and I mean, to be fair, like I'm also coming from. I don't know that you're privy to this. We kind of talked about it on our last episode, and Alex and I had a more in-depth conversation about it, just off the mic, just together one day. But I like this is what sparked it. Like the outrage over this scene is what sparked it. But like I am so over already hearing this term fan service. It feels hypocritical to me because I don't hear that term used for any other thing aside from an anime or an anime adaptation. I don't hear anyone screaming fan service in Game of Thrones when prostitutes are naked.
Well,
I
fan
don't-
service has like it has a distinct history in specifically. I'm not sure as much about the Japanese side, but specifically in American anime culture, fan service has a long.
I was about to say, I don't want to
history.
pretend like it's not a thing
Yeah.
either.
And-
Like
and-
I'm not saying it's not. I'm
It's
just saying
also
I don't.
part of the.
I don't hear people crying out about it the same way for any other thing.
Yeah.
Like they do this. Like these same people complaining about it would go watch these other rated R movies or other like
Yeah,
mature
well,
TV shows.
I think it's part of like the stigma around again anime. It's like it's so hard to tell people to watch one when it's got some weird stuff in there that's a little bit different, but like would totally be fine in something like a Western. Like if I told you to go watch, Game of Thrones or another HBO show with nudity, like nobody would bat an eye because like it's within reason it's not that big a deal. But like if I tell you to watch an anime,
Within reason, it's worse.
No,
it's
I'm just
worse
saying,
in
like-
Game of
like,
Thrones than
okay.
it is.
I know what I'm saying.
And that's real people, by the way.
What I'm saying is like it's more widely accepted to be okay
Yeah.
in Western media than it is in anime. It like because you're like not the norm. You're like kind of the weird one for watching anime. Like I think it's not as prevalent as it used to be when we were younger, but it's still that like when I tell you to watch it and then you watch it and it's weird, you instantly like a lot of people who aren't a part of the culture will be like, "Oh, that dude's weird. Like he watches like hentai and stuff. Like he's just it's like there's
It's a 1-for-1 that's stereotypical, like the assumption. So even like the fan service term is like has been good, bad, whatever, because people deliberately watch fan service shows because they want that sort of scintillation and stuff. Like, and it also has the tongue in cheek for some of this stuff from the author. Of like, wink to the fans who, even in Japan, a lot of that stuff was traditionally a male audience, right? Which that's changed too. Now you actually you can get fan service however and whenever you want, and it's more accepted. Even in our culture,
there's also some like ecchi
Yeah.
stuff that's like it's
Purpose
a
made.
whole subculture that like is attached to it. So there's like some relation, but it's also different. So I think again a lot of that gets kind of lost in the
Yeah.
translation.
Yeah, and adult cartoons have existed for as long or longer even than Japan, but the perception of cartoons like primarily being for kids kind of leads to that interplay in a lot of ways. There's almost like there's a cultural inbuilt repression reflex of people to be more freaked out by sexual stuff, for good reasons and for bad reasons. You know, I think anime helped me sort of look at my own culture and say, well, a nipple is evil, but you can chop someone's head off and it's PG-13. You know what I mean? Like, nipples are natural. Chopping someone's head off is not. So, you know, to pull it the other way. But that interplay, I think, is really kind of why these things happen. And the internet makes it louder. But I think there's a lot of, like, real conversation happening there of, like, you know, ecchi stuff, perverted stuff. Is it right to have all these, you know, mangas with cleavage in them to sell more to perverted boys because they're, you know, perverted boys? Well, girls are perverted too when they're teenagers. They're just looking for a different type of thing. I'd prefer just be equal opportunity than necessarily like vilifying one or the other.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying is like I just I don't know. It almost feels performative to me, but I don't know these people in real life. I just see them on Twitter. It's like my gut instinct is to be like, I feel like you're just saying this so that you feel better about yourself for not being like, you know, not vocal about it. But like, I don't see this quick scene in this show that's about piracy and being on a ship out in the ocean of a female in a bathing suit top. You know, I don't know.
I think you could read it either way, and it's legit. I wouldn't necessarily paint with as broad a brush, but you know me, I don't typically like to do that. I mean, I don't think it's monolithically one thing or another thing. It can be all of those things, right? Like it can be jarring in the context of the show, but it can also be completely in keeping with the character as they are.
I think a lot of it too is it kind of. I'm sure some of it stems from like when we were younger, you could pick on, or not you could, but like it was more socially acceptable. Like kids got picked on for being nerds for watching Star Wars, and now like Star Wars and Marvel and like these things that would have normally gotten you like picked on and bullied in school is like now that's not okay, and it's like it feels like, well, this is still weird to me, so I don't understand it fully, so I'm gonna say that you're weird because this is weird, and it's more socially acceptable because there is a big movement for, you know, women's rights and, you know, not women's right, but like the culture around how women are treated has been a big topic lately. So there's a lot of talk around it, so it's going to get brought up. And I think that this is one of those things where it's like, I don't think that this is the issue where we need to be focusing on. I think the issue is more other stuff, but this is an easy scapegoat in my opinion.
Well, I also
it's
think
this is weird. We don't like it.
This is like a prime thing of like internet. Like it's a perfect sort of storm of potential internet outrages across the board of like manga purists that don't think they did this hard enough, anime purists that think like you never jump mediums. Why did they have it in the first place? Was this person represented correctly? People that would be upset that, you know, read the manga and don't think about it very beyond the surface and say, well, why do we have all these characters that I see as white, with, you know, Vivi being someone I think of probably Indian descent, but I'm not sure. You know, at the very least, everyone is the different colors that Oda himself says that they would be, and that makes sense in a sort of international world sailing ship would be upset about that still, as like tokenism or like woke representation of these beloved characters that have been the same forever, blah blah blah, right?
I love when people are like, oh, One Piece is so woke, this is ridiculous, and it's like, I think you should watch the anime. I think you should watch the anime before you say that, because there is an incredible amount of representation that's like this is a very progressive anime and manga. It's like
especially for its time.
Incredibly so for when it was made.
So if you put all that together, and you get like these fringes are going to be loud anyway, and so it is what it is. And
Right.
It's on us to interact or not. But I think I think you're right to say it's ridiculous. You know that if I was a proponent of sexual representation of any kind, this Nami's 15-second seed or whatever would not be the hill I would die on. To
Yeah.
Ryan's point, you know.
I guess that's where I'm at, is like I just don't think it was as, I'm not trying to make it a big deal. I think it's weird that it got made a big deal is more where I'm at.
I think people just want to be people just want something to be upset about, and I think honestly it's like this was done so well that it's like we're digging for
we gotta
anything we
find
can.
yeah, something.
It's like you got bad Chopper CGI and then tiny bit of fan service, and it's like neither of those really matter at all. Like honestly, overall, I thought all of it was incredibly done, and
Wait.
you're taking
Were they mad at the I thought they were mad at the big chopper, not the CGI.
yeah. Well, I mean, was that all practical?
The big form is practical.
Yeah,
He's
big
like
form is
someone in a
practical.
suit with
Yeah.
face
Yeah.
makeup.
Okay, well, people were saying that it looked bad. That the transformation it looked bad. It was hard to look at. It was ugly, and it's like,
I had some.
shut up.
I mean, like I had some moments with like especially the later half of the season. It felt very animated to me. So maybe I'm kind of being an apologist to some extent, where like you watch enough anime, eventually you see like, okay, well, this is going to be a big episode because everything looks a little bit better. You know, this is the action scene. Funnily enough, I watched a couple episodes of Ninja Turtles the other day because I
Nice.
played some of the Magic set and showed it to Nora for fun. And like half of that show is like 2-frame animations, and then it gets to the fight scene, and everything's like smooth and fluid. And,
Yeah.
you know, and that's like, I'm pretty sure it was a Japanese studio that made that in the 80s, and so you know, to see it in real life is what I felt like was happening. Where like some of those later in the season, probably a little more rushed costumes and stuff felt a little more cosplay than real. Some of the materials were a little less polished. Some of the stuff was clearly like painted to look like metal rather than actually being metal, because it'd be impossible to lift even one piece of some of those costumes. But does it matter? You know, is it still getting the point across? Is it are they doing well enough? I would take a Chopper that emotionally resonates with me the same way Chopper did in the manga over a perfectly realized
Exactly.
monster suit.
Yeah, the characters, like I said, the actors did amazing jobs, and I think that does a lot of the heavy lifting on suspending a lot of my disbelief. Like I said, I will admit, out of context, watching the scene where Zoro chops through the fire star and his sword's like, it's corny, it's cheesy, it looks stupid. It's not like out of the story, I could see somebody being like, I'm not watching that crap. And that's the clip that I saw, was just that on Instagram, and some people were like, this is cooked, this is crazy, I can't believe people like this. And it's like, well, if you watch the episode, you're going to be, well, at least for me, I'm so invested in the characters and the story and, you know, the cool suspense of the scene and stuff. It's like, this is like a 10-second clip of it. It's like, yeah, if you dissect it, anything like that, you can find like A-list movies that like look bad when you
For a brief
take
moment.
take the time to dig through every second of it. It's like, if you just put it on and you just watch it like normal and you just enjoy it, I think a lot of this goes away.
Well, too, and remember what you're watching, right? Like I think someone coming, like being weirded out, having never seen any anime before or read any comics or watched any cartoons, I think would really be out of their element and probably shouldn't. I wouldn't even encourage them to watch it because it's really not for them.
Yeah.
Right? Like in someone who like is a manga or anime purist, those things still exist, right? I kind of think it's funny that they, you know, kind of jokingly kind of put it in the show to like calling out attacks and stuff. That's a choice they could have made to not do, and it wouldn't have necessarily hurt it if they didn't call out their attacks. But like, I've been watching anime for most of my life now. It's ridiculous in every one when they call out an attack. I don't get one iota less pump when it happens.
Yeah.
Like,
Just like
you know what I
When
mean?
I hear is
Yeah.
that
Detroit.
Yeah, yes, like
when
Say it, Alex.
Ichigo does
Smash.
his Zagetsu Gantensha.
or just like
Getsuga
like
Tensho, yeah.
Yeah, I butchered that.
Bankai as a like exclamation of like full release here. I'm about to go hard. Like I'm getting
Zabimaru
chills thinking about it.
roar. I'm like, yes, dude.
I don't even really like late stage Bleach that much. No offense.
Stop it.
But like that was such
Blasphemy.
it's such a like encapsulation of what is cool about that you know, and they still manage to kind of get like they make fun sometimes, but like it still works. Like
Yeah.
it can work. You can do that and have it be
Because in the moment when the stakes are high and you're invested, you can forgive a lot. That if you, like I said, if you take the time to sit down and dissect and like actually think, like, what are we doing here? You lose a lot of the luster, and I think that you can do that with anything, in my opinion. It's like
Yeah.
if you really want to dig into something.
Well, kind of trailing, you know, trying to tie this up and get to the end here. We've been going a while, but that's okay. I mean, we reviewed 2 whole seasons of 2 different shows, so this will probably run over a little more than normal.
And talked about a trailer.
Well, that's true too. Let's just real quick, just like kind of rapid fire. Crocodile, yay, nay,
Yeah.
Joe Manganiello, dude, I love him.
killed it. I think he's got that laugh down.
I can't wait to see more of him next season, dude.
Derek, what you think about?
I love everything about it except the hook.
You don't like his hook?
I don't like the hook.
Is it because it's too shiny?
It's too fake gold.
Well-
Like it, I think like, but if you made it a real gold, it'd probably weigh 300 pounds. So I
True.
really, I
It
really-
also would be incredibly expensive.
Yeah,
Also,
so-
I think in the anime,
They should have dulled
it's
it, though.
stylized.
They
though.
should have dulled it.
I don't know. I
yeah,
think
I feel
it's-
like if it felt more, that was the kind of the cosplay thing I was getting at. Like it felt not very used. And I think
Yeah.
the best stuff is like can look completely ridiculous.
I don't know,
but-
man. I'm for it looking like that. Like I think it looked like it would. Like in the anime, I think it looks just like that.
I will
love
say
that.
here's what I'll give. I will say this, and let's move on. Though I do think it maybe should have been dulled. Like for me, I could see where a character like that who lives in this like underwater like casino looking bunker with like marble floors would have a shiny
Well, also-
golden.
Well, if
I
he like
think-
switches it out for a battle or something, like you got me again. You know what I mean? Like
I don't think if you know, like he can turn the whole hook into sand too.
That's true.
So like it's
it could stay pristine. Yeah, I can
That's
see that.
true. Nico Robin. Not only do I think they cast the perfect actress for her, they made her power so insanely
Well,
daunting.
because in the anime, like her power is like she's kind of like not one of the big 3,
yeah,
but her power is busted.
yeah,
Like,
she's
it's
OP.
crazy.
That
how strong
hallway
it is.
scene was incredible.
I would say
Yeah.
Croc too. Croc, I think a lot of people don't give Croc the credit he's supposed to have because he's so early on that you're just like, oh yeah, whatever. Like he is insane.
Yeah,
how
He's
strong
like the
he is.
first hard stop.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like he's a big, and I mean, look, they put a banana wannabe in there, so like I can't wait. If nothing else, I'll watch the 3rd season because I want to see a gigantic crocodile with a little banana on his head.
Although I don't think any of us are going to be able to chime in much on this, Bartolomeo.
I think it was cool because again, that's one of those things that it's like later on, you find out that he was there, and that
Right.
like he did witness it, and that's what kicks his story off. But like in the beginning, you don't know that because like the character isn't written.
But I'm saying, did you like the portrayal?
Yeah, no, I think he did a good job. Like that's what I think. That's what I think he would have been like if we had met him then.
Okay.
Because like you kind of see a little bit of him. He's like a street punk, like
Right.
a criminal or whatever, and then he gets inspired, and then he becomes a fanboy, and you know, I think they did good. I think that his character looks ridiculous, but he does in the anime too. I mean,
Yeah.
ridiculous looking. So I think it did good.
Brooke,
Yes, love it.
I know you don't know much about him, but like,
What I
I
did you
do
like
know,
what you saw in the?
Yeah, I mean,
Again, people getting mad that he was black is insane.
That doesn't make any
Wait,
sense.
they were mad about that?
Yes,
doesn't make
people,
any
people
sense
in
at
the-
all.
they want to be
He's a
mad about
skeleton.
everything. He has an afro.
also true.
It's like what?
Yeah, I
What
was
do you
gonna
think?
say,
What white person do you know that's got an afro like that?
I mean, I've known a few, but it doesn't
It's
matter.
not-
Like
Never
like,
mind.
I mean, Oda, like
He's the Soul King.
like it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. There's.
Look,
You could even argue it goes too hard that direction. So like, it
Yeah.
doesn't make any
I'm
sense.
gonna be. Yeah, that's true too. It's like it's almost a little.
Wait,
on the
Don't
nose.
say that. Don't tell people that.
It's almost a little on the nose. I aside from all that, I didn't even know that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
His voice, they picked someone who can sing, which I love, and I
Well, he's
love.
the bard. He's got to sing.
I love the song. I love the little song, the Binks's Brew.
Yeah.
I've went and looked it up like multiple times. Loved it.
Well, if you watch the anime, it shows up in there too.
Oh, that's actually from the
Yeah,
anime.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I thought it was an
It's
original
from
piece.
later on, I think, when he's actually
Well,
a character.
when you meet Brooke, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, as Ryan would say, I thought it was cute as hell.
Yeah. What else? Vivi.
Nailed it.
I thought
She
they
was
did great.
when I realized who she was,
I'm gonna be.
Great.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they nailed almost all the members of Baroque Works. The only one that when I saw them on the screen, I was like, "Who the heck is that?" And then when I realized it, I out loud went, "That's who they cast for that." Was Vivi's original partner for her?
Mr. Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the anime and the manga, he's like this huge dude with baseball bats, and they got some like very tiny.
I liked his
Scrawny.
performance, but yeah, it was a little jarring.
He was acting his behind off, but I was just. It took me a minute to be like, really, but I liked him.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying, what's the lady in the dress, the pink dress, the muscle lady? I saw people saying that they should have casted Terry Crews for that, and I was like, that would have been amazing.
That would have been great, and he would have done it.
Yeah.
Have you
yeah,
seen people
dude.
saying they want Adam Sandler to be
Kizaru.
Kizaru?
Yeah,
Kizaru.
but I don't think we're getting that far. I don't know. Maybe
If I don't see
people were saying they
Gear
want
5 in this show,
they want Eminem to be an L.
that would be
Yeah.
so weirdly good.
I was gonna say it fits, but like I don't think it would. I don't think he would
Be
do it.
so
but-
weirdly good.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think that's like all the main.
I was trying to think. There's another.
Do we
casting.
see the Foxy Pirates in that big round table scene? The flashback to 10 years ago when VV is young.
No, no.
That was the
not-
world-
there was like a very
that's the world
Italian
government. That's
passing.
not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just say you see, what President Hamburger and King Taco, and they kept those designs the way they were, and people were like, "That's a bold choice," but
And
I
Dragon.
respect it. Yeah, I like
actor
that
who
we
did
got Dragon in there.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Dragon other than that, like people
You-
say he's
yeah.
OP as well.
You gotta watch. You gotta watch. 'cause
Oh,
there's a
and
lot of mystery.
Apparently,
surrounding him
he
still.
like the actor like leaked something that hasn't even been established officially in the manga.
Well, there's been a lot of like, we think that this is what his thing is, and I mean, the show, in my opinion, all but confirmed it. That like what his power is,
Well, not even well. Okay, I
but
don't-
like
I
nothing
don't-
has been officially said about what. Like we haven't seen him talk about his devil fruit. Or
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I don't feel bad about saying this because I don't know anything about him. I don't know how off base I am, and on top of that, the actor himself said it, but he said something in an Instagram post about trying to capture Dragon's devil fruit ability, and people all in the comments were like, "Did bro just confirm that Dragon has
Yeah.
a devil fruit?"
yeah,
Because like apparently that's not a stat like officially.
because it's not been shown, and like they do. I think they did a good job in the show too of like explaining the devil fruits like they do. You don't get that with him. Like you don't even really know that he has powers. You just kind of have ideas,
You
and
ca-
then like
you-
by saying that, he confirmed, like more or less confirmed a theory that people thought that I don't want to say right now because
Okay.
I don't want to ruin it for
Yeah,
you.
don't
but-
don't. Yeah,
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not a far. If you know who Dragon is, it's not far fetched to assume that he's probably got a devil fruit. He's probably like you see anyone with they alluded to the will of D for the first time, which does happen in the arc or whatever.
I would say, but that's not brought up till way later too.
Well, like actually, like saying anything other than this is a thing, and this is actually what Goldie Rogers' name was. You see actually, even in the manga, you start to see, oh, these people that they're meeting on the Grand Line are also have a history and relationships and all this stuff, and so they're putting the breadcrumbs out there, but there are plenty of things that you just kind of you see Ace for the first time, and you're like, that guy's important.
Wait.
And
you do.
no, you don't see Ace in this.
Oh,
but
oh.
like just like in the manga, they're doing the same. Some of this is the same
Chris
thing.
was like, "Wait, I missed it."
Ace was there.
No, Sabo was though.
Sabo was for a
Sabo
second.
was, yeah, that was actually like I was like, hold on.
Well, again, I think that's one of those things where it's like the character wasn't written when this happened, so obviously he wasn't
If
there.
I didn't
but like,
know to look for him in that clip, I wouldn't have even noticed
that's
he was
because
there.
you haven't seen him.
No, but I'm
The
saying I
second
wouldn't have
saw-
noticed he was there. He was so far in the
Oh,
background
I was
and
gonna
it
say
was
the
dark.
second I saw his like rough silhouette, I was like, "Oh, that's him." Just because I know,
That's
I mean,
fair.
because when you know his design, it's like,
Yeah, that's
Oh.
he looks like what I mean. Nobody looks like him. So,
Freaking God, Mihawk.
yeah.
yes.
Like that. There's no other like that one right there. I don't know if it's just because of the way they're doing it. I do like that, like a sort of like he's haunting Zoro
Yeah.
the way that he did.
Yes.
I was gonna say
but
I
that actor is like,
loved that.
He's
That,
fantastic.
like, because like in the manga, it's like, or the anime, it's like you can tell that experience like affected him.
Yeah.
But like you don't get the depths that you get in the show, and
That's
it's
fair.
like I think, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
I agree with you. I think a lot. He's a fan favorite of people who follow the live action. They really like that actor, his portrayal of Mihawk. It was cool to see him pop back up.
Oh,
Go ahead. I was just gonna say I'm a huge fan of the guy who does Buggy.
Yeah.
I like him. I think that he's a bit. I don't think that Buggy, like I think his portrayal of Buggy's a little bit off in my opinion, but I think he does a good job.
yeah, I feel like I kind of am there with you. It's hard for me to point to the exact thing. It's almost like something like Buggy isn't demented or whatever, and it's certainly
He's
a
a
little funny
lot
when
more-
he's like,
Crude and angry, I think, than Buggy is a lot more whimsical
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
their Buggy is like he's kind of like a real crass jackass.
he's
But
pulled a
that's-
little more.
but
His
the
Buggy's a little more pulled in the Joker direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I think like you need a little more. It's like manic in a disturbing way, where I feel like you want that absurdity that feels more Odo-y for him to be like a silly guy
Yeah,
too.
he's more.
I think they're going more the route of like he's just a Luffy hater.
I think he's just insane.
Well, and he
but-
is, but like I said, like the character, I think is like in the manga, or the anime, he's a lot more like I said, whimsical. He's more ridiculous and less like I think Derek hit it on the head that like he's very like this feels almost Jokerish, and in a way that like Buggy isn't that like he's a little bit, but like just a tiny bit. I think he laid it on a little bit thick, in my opinion.
Yeah, they could have done more with like because you see so much of like a lot of Buggy's interstitial story for the longest time before he even meets Elvita. A lot of the stuff that I think we all like about the show they brought in with Garp and stuff is like Buggy's like literally like 2 feet 2 hands and a head for a
Yeah.
good long time. He's just a running gag on the splash pages, and then kind of comes back and is more of like has a little more of the menace. But like you kind of lose that with this. Speaking of Ingram. Ingrams. I was struck once again, like with what they did with the show. You were talking about whether or not people were good casting. I think he was great, and I'm just like so frustrated that he did so well. And I wanted to cry at a guy who's wearing a machine
It's a
gun wig.
ridiculous wig.
You're like, it's the most ridiculous, and they just made it work.
See, that's how I felt
I
about
would have said it could have been done.
Hero Luck. That's how I felt
No,
about
I think
him.
I think he did also like that speech hits, in the castle. Like it does as intended.
Dude.
I teared up whenever Kurahad fired off the, like I was like, and like Chopper's like,
When he figures it out and like gets the concoction right, and he's like, Chopper, we did it, Chopper, and it's like he realizes that he pushed him away. I was like, oh man.
I'm telling you, I cried multiple times those last at least 2, if not 3 episodes.
I didn't know. I was still figuring out how I felt about Hopper, but when like he's outside the door, like what did I do? And like
Yeah, dude,
like,
that was
the
that
voice
was hard to
actors put
watch.
so much into that right then. I was just like wrecked. Like,
Yeah.
this is perfect.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's all like the main new stuff. I can't think of any other like major.
I just want to say that I loved seeing Usopp have his like
Oh, yeah, he got
ridiculous
his-
3 watches, and I love that his character is getting a lot more development. I think
Oh my gosh.
because he's such a little coward crybaby, but like in this one he is, but like he's got a more lovable, like trying to figure it out trait that like you don't really get until further on in the anime, in my opinion.
Whenever they were walking through Logetown and Nami was like, "Why don't you get something to disguise you?" I was like, "There's no way. There's no
He
way."
grabs the
And then
freaking
I,
goggles.
you see him. They do it so awesome because he doesn't even. It's not even an on-screen. He's like way in the background, but you still hear him, and he's like, "Oh, these might work." He takes them from like a little girl, and he's like, "Oh, these might work." Very Usopp thing to do, by the way. And then the next time he pops up, he's like, "Yeah, check these out." I was like, "They gave him the goggles? Oh my gosh, I love it."
I actually like that Usopp in the manga is like kind of a piece of shit, but like
Say it again. Yes, he is.
he used to be too, but like
That would slick back.
he
real
does
nice.
like they did that balance of like, I think anyone watching that for the first time didn't know the story of Usopp and watched him through Little Garden or whatever, of like, okay, now he's gonna stand up and like, and then he just goes to the next person.
Yeah.
I think they did that really well, and just the actor has enough charm that I don't mind missing that little piece because I think it's his own Usopp that still works.
Yeah.
And I think he does such a good job too. Honestly, the casting is
Yeah.
immaculate. I really couldn't argue with any of it.
One minor criticism of Usopp's actor for me, it annoys me to like unreasonable levels whenever I see him do that one-sided smirk when he's
Okay, but that's
nervous.
Usopp.
Is that Usopp or is that the actor?
That feels more the actor.
Yeah.
Usopp's not usually a smirker.
Do you guys know what I'm
I
talking
know what
about?
you're talking about. He does that, but
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
didn't
It struck
notice it.
me
to be
particularly,
honest, though,
but-
that's just one of those things. That it's hard to capture an animated character's facial expressions in a.
Like he did such a good job in the.
Oh,
when he's
I'm not
lying
saying he
to-
did a bad job, but
Yeah.
that one thing he does constantly, it's just like
I'll have to go back and
Why?
rewatch it and see what you're talking
I'm-
about. But I was gonna say when he's talking to the giant, and he's like, "Yeah, the Lord of Destruction." He makes that face that's like just straight up from the anime. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, he's great."
Okay, so ratings. Where are we at on season 2 live action One Piece?
I'm gonna say 8.
Okay. Wow. You really enjoyed it.
I did, yeah.
Okay. Are you does it intrigue you to watch the anime?
Just say yes.
Like even honestly, like even picking the anime up
or the
kind of
manga.
where you
I mean,
left off, or maybe even just like going to the next arc and being like, okay, we get it, like Alabasta, we get it, like watch the end of it. That is a long arc. Like I could understand, like if you started it.
That was the one for me that I started to really enjoy it.
I know you really liked Alabasta. But knowing he's got to stare down the barrel of Skypiea, I'm like, why not just let him?
It's rough. It's rough.
Okay, so 8.
Yeah.
With a potential gonna jump on the anime.
I'm
Derek
taking
Bryan?
it as a commitment.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I would have called the first season an 8. This is probably like 7.9. That way it's a little high. I liked it better than
Then
Knights of by a nose. just because it's more like made for me, I guess, than that would be necessarily. But I do think it was like it is bar none one of the best adaptations, and even where I feel like I have a few more criticisms of the second season than I did the first. I think that they're still doing the work in a way I didn't think was possible. So.
Ryan, where are you at?
Yeah, I think 8 is fair. There's not a lot that I would change. Honestly, I think they killed it. I almost want to give it a higher number, but I also don't think it was perfect. So yeah, I think 8 is solid, fair. It was good. It was very good.
I think I'm at an 8 as well. The thing keeping me from going higher on it is just that I don't know that this will ever be like a 9 type of show for me, because you have this is the forever problem with an adaptation, right? You have the original, and the reason you're adapting it is because the original was so darn good. I have the anime, and I'm progressing through it now, and like
You're
loving
in
it.
The best part.
Well, I'm not even in the best part. I
Wow.
don't think
That for me, that was like, I think the stuff that you're getting into and about to get into, like I said, that like 4 arc chunk for me was like that change, like that. I was like, I'm a One Piece fan, and then I watched that, and I was like, oh, I see why people like lose their minds over One Piece.
Yeah.
And it does. I mean, it has its lulls after that, but then it picks back up, and it's again where I'm at. It's crazy again, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I also think that like it serves, like a lot of people like always talk about live action or this or that adaptation of any kind, book to animation, manga to anime, whatever. And I think a lot of what people don't question is like, is there really a reason? Does it have to be? Does it ever have to be a live action thing? What can you add by taking it out of 2 dimensions into 3 or whatever? And I think this one does a good job of encapsulating the story, making it more accessible to different people, and still like having something for people who are already fans, and in my mind, there's really not anything more you can ask for any kind of adaptation.
Right.
You just got to justify your existence in the first place. If you're a carbon copy, then there was never a reason to put the effort in.
I
Right,
think
but that's
Oda
got-
also said that like this is a different story too.
Right, yeah,
And
which
I
makes-
love that they did that. They
makes
were like,
sense.
it's not gonna be one for one.
Which makes sense as to why he's saying it won't adapt at all.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, though, like you said, it's doing what it's doing at just about as good a level as it can, and you're at like a nose under the other show.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. Is like,
No, I don't disagree at all.
yeah, like I think an 8 is like an 8 is a 10 for what it's doing. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah, too, and like someone else might score it a 10 because like it was their first entry. Like you think about like Cradle. We just watched the cinematic not too long ago, and that's an adaptation very similar of the original author being distinctly
Very connected.
involved. Working on the screenplay with the people and everything like that. And I think we all, if I remember correctly, but like our assessment of it was very similar. And it very literally did add some things and subtracted things that felt essential in the reading, but maybe weren't to the core of the story in a way that really worked and made it all flow and felt great. So the author being able to revise a little bit and smooth out things can be a very good thing. Can be a terrible thing, George Lucas. But the main point there, I guess, is that it doesn't take away from the books, but if you ask me which one I like better, it's obvious, right? I've literally read those books 7 times back to back, the entire 13-book series. You're not gonna get better for me.
Right.
Shouts out Cradle. If anybody hasn't read it, you definitely should.
And especially if you're a One Piece fan, Will White himself is a massive One Piece fan and recommends One Piece to all of his fans and Cradle to any One Piece fans that he meets. There's actually a lot of similarities, really, to be honest. But yeah, shout out Cradle and Will White. That's one of our favorites.
So good.
But Derek, thank you for joining us. I hope this is something you enjoyed and will do more often, maybe. Question mark.
I'm feeling a little werewolf bit right now.
This was really fun for us, I think, just to get to chill in a little different kind of setting and vibe out on some.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, and thank you guys, of course, for joining again. What is this? 4?
Yes.
3 or 4? One of the
4.
4?
It's 4.
I think it's 4. Yeah.
I'm bad at remembering.
Me too.
It's fine.
So 4th episode in the books. Thank you guys, and thank you for tuning in. Please comment, like, share it around, subscribe, tell your friends that Derek was here. That'll really get us some traffic.
I watched this guy get torn apart.
Limb from limb at a dinner. We will be back in another couple weeks-ish to for sure talk about Project Hail Mary, which we are all going to see tomorrow.
Yeah.
And probably some other stuff too. Don't really know what else is coming out between now and then.
We'll see. There's something will come up.
There's like a bajillion things dropping right now, so it won't be everything. But trust me, we're
Children
a
of
lot is
Strife
on
for
our.
sure. You got to read that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna have to read like
bye.
four books to get to this one book to review. But no, we have a lot scheduled out. We're trying to make our way through it. But it's a good problem. There's a ton of content right now for us to talk about. So we'll see you guys back here soon. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Derek, let's go get lunch.
I actually...